Heating, cooling, and insulation. Upgrade your HVAC system now, and you could qualify for Carrier Cool Cash rebates up to $2,600 and 0% financing for up to 72 months. Rebates available for a limited time. For a free estimate, aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Frey, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Rain.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Happy Monday, folks. It's going to be a wild Monday, and we have Dave Murray coming up here in just a few minutes to give us the latest on the weather. And I'm coming at it from this angle, and you guys shouldn't be surprised about this, but I have 4 kids in 4 different locations on Mondays, and I'm trying to get them all in one safe place at one safe time. So we're going to talk about drop-offs and drive homes during rush hour. He'll be with us in about 3 minutes from right now, but of course it doesn't go without saying. This weekend and the news, another incredibly big news weekend as the White House Correspondents Dinner was met with gunfire outside of the Oval area where the banquet was taking place. The president was supposed to speak at 9 o'clock Eastern, or the event was supposed to begin, and certainly it never made it that far because of those shots. Now, if you were watching, I forgot that the White House Correspondents' Dinner was going to be taking place until about 7:30, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. We should check that out. Didn't get the news on, got a text from a family member that says, hey, are you watching the news? Oh, no, a phone call that says, hey, are you watching the news? And then you find out shots fired once again. How many times are we going to go through this, folks? How many times are we going to be in a position where I'll say it this way, are fortunate enough that it was minimized in such a way that nobody was actually hurt? It's an incredible outcome that what took place culminated with such little actual casualty. But we got a lot to talk about. We're going to cover it all here. Jack Posobiec is going to be with us at 12:18. So in about 13 minutes from right now, we're going to talk about this event this weekend, the Southern Poverty Law Center. We're going to discuss with him Turning Point and everything that Jack Posobiec has been working on. Steve Moore will be with us at 1:05 to talk to us about the economy and where it's headed right now. And then, of course, Joe Concha will join us at 1:30 to talk about his reaction to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, including Jimmy Kimmel and his latest, Melania Trump's response to Jimmy Kimmel making a joke loosely about Melania Trump looking like a soon-to-be widow. Just absolutely outrageous stuff. Happy Monday, right? We could ease the moment here and talk about the weather, but the weather is also getting pretty raucous out there. And Ryan, do you have kids? I have one kid who is called off early, and it's high school, which I think is particularly because these 60% of the kids are driving. So they got to get out of there and get home before the weather hits, especially if some of them drive a little bit of ways. Any difference in your family's school schedules yet?
Well, they haven't changed it yet. They all get out at 3 o'clock, but we have a 6 o'clock baseball game that I'm watching real closely to see how soon we're going to hear about that.
I can cancel it for you.
Thank you, but they haven't sent the email yet.
You say I heard it on the radio.
Okay.
My coworker told me I shouldn't go.
It was broadcast publicly and it was canceled.
Let's get to somebody who can actually tell us what the weather is going to look like here in the St. Louis metro bi-state area. Let's get 97.1 Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray on with us. Dave, you're a busy man.
There.
You're a busy man today, aren't you?
It's just really kicking into gear now.
Yeah, tell us.
As far as being busy.
Lay it out for us.
It's been busy since Saturday, really. But let's just establish what's going on right now. We're not playing a waiting game, but we're getting close to playing a waiting game. There are no warnings in effect at this point. There's this huge batch of rain just to the northwest of downtown St. Louis. It basically is running from O'Fallon to about Jerseyville over to Carlinville in Illinois. Heavy rain, some localized flooding, a lot of lightning, but not severe. That's the batch that is held together really well this morning into the early afternoon. Quite surprisingly, it is held together. But that thing is going to be sending out a boundary line. The first boundary line is an outflow line that is just about approaching Wildwood and downtown St. Louis. There'll be a little wind gust, little spotty rain. That's about it. But that will help establish where the focus is going to become later on today, because what that's laying out is going into what we call fresh air. It's really moist. It's really warm. That hasn't had any thunderstorm activity. Now, exactly where that boundary line is going to form, that's the million-dollar question. But it does look like it will be in the St. Louis area anyway. Right now, I'm thinking it's going to form just to the south and to the east of downtown St. Louis. That's where the storm should fire up later on today. And once they fire, they'll be fast moving. They're going to fly and then continue to push off to the east and to the south. So it is now, that's what we're waiting for. And again, there's so many questions about that. What I say, we now go into nowcasting, not forecasting, because it becomes, every minute starts to lay out some hints. It also lays out some changes that we just have to kind of follow. So a lot of schools are now starting to get out early across the area. The list is growing anyway. But the prime time for this redevelopment is going to be 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 8, 9 o'clock in the evening. That window, that's the best window of opportunity for severe weather. Prime areas are going to be the St. Louis area to the points east into Illinois and also southeast Missouri and extreme southern Illinois. I think that's going to be the main focus for all of this. That western part of the area, the main parts, a lot of our listeners in Chesterfield and St. Charles, severe weather for them? Yes, I don't want to say it's for everybody because it's not. It's not going to be this broad brush that everybody's going to get severe weather. The boundary line is kind of right through Chesterfield right now and down to about Union. And again, we have to kind of set the stage here a little bit. You can do your own forecasting here a little bit. A lot of clouds around. If the sun comes out, which it will in some sections, especially south of St. Louis, that's going to be your clue that the atmosphere is going to turn over very, very quickly. If the clouds stay in place a little longer, it's going to be a little struggle to make this atmosphere go once again, because it's kind of gotten tapped out by this stuff up to our north. But that's the key. The key is going to be sunlight. And if you get a thunderstorm going, and again, not everybody's going to see severe weather, but where these real powerful storms get going, we're talking mile-per-hour winds, really heavy downpours of rain, intense, dangerous lightning, large hail, and the possibility of some tornadoes. Any tornado that forms is going to be more of a large scale than a small scale tornado, but I don't want to scare anybody about it because they will be isolated. It's not going to be everybody, nowhere near everybody for a tornado. However, if you get one, that's the problem. The problem is that they could be on the ground for a long period of time. Oof. Dave Murray, were there influencers overhyping this a week ago online? I believe so. It seems to me like you're bringing it down to a little more of a prepared, calm way to approach this. And that's the way I always have and always will. I don't, to be talking about major severe weather outbreaks 7 days in advance is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, you said it. I'll say it. Yeah. It's somewhat irresponsible too. We need to be alert. We need to pay attention, but we don't need to get all jacked up 7 days ahead, because it is all these severe weather outbreaks are here's what's going on right now. Here's where it's going. Here's what's happening. We kind of want to set the stage that we have the possibility for strong to severe thunderstorms. But I've heard from so many people go, what is going on? Why is this happening? And I don't have an answer for that. Yeah. I think it's social media. I think it's ratings. I think it's clickbait. I think it's everything to try to get somebody to notice somebody. Sure, 100%. You're saying here even that you are now casting, that there are still things between now and this afternoon that have to develop in order for you to be able to say, all right, you folks in this zip code, get in your basement and hunker down. It's coming your way. Yep. We are now going into let's keep an eye on the sky as far as people going out. If you have outside activities plans for the afternoon, I would probably either delay them or put them off, because you don't want to be outside if this stuff starts to get going. You will see it coming. You'll see these thunderstorms come. They're not going to form just out of nowhere.
Okay. And
These things do track our way.
last question. I got 4 kids in 4 different places. Should I
Yep.
start collecting them early? The bus stops. It's very scary when you've got a high schooler who's driving in this. But then
Yep.
I think about the bus stop kids too.
Sure.
What do you want to tell parents right now to do in that 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock time frame?
It is the time to really pay attention to what's going on. Again, watch the sky. If it stays cloudy, that's going to help matters. If the sun comes out, that's going to
When you say
really
help
fire
matters,
up the atmosphere.
when you say help
Keep
matters,
things calm. Keep things calmer.
cloudy good, sun
Right.
comes out.
Cloudy good, sun bad.
There you go. You heard it
There
here.
you go. If, in your case or anybody else, I would contact the school or have the school. Most schools have these chains that get the information out, and then you kind of have to go from there and try to establish. Now, some schools might say, you know what, we're not going to let out early. We're gonna hunker down in the school and be there.
Yeah.
But every school is a little bit different. And so you really just have to kind of gear into the individual school that you're talking about.
Yeah, these schools are a lot safer to be in than a school bus and a bus stop that you hope.
Absolutely.
It's an incredibly. It's like you can't make the perfect decision. So
No, not in severe weather. Not at all. Again, I want just people to be alert, be aware, watch the sky, stay updated on the weather. Don't panic. Respect.
All right.
Respect the weather.
Ryan, did you hear that? Don't panic.
Well, I also disrespect the weather, so I was glad to hear both of those things.
Do you think
Somehow I knew that.
you think baseball games and softball games at 6 o'clock tonight are going to get played anywhere?
I think if you're playing up to the north of St. Louis, especially St. Charles County, those games are probably already canceled because the fields are going to be sloppy wet.
We had a game in Alton tonight that got canceled, the high school game in Alton.
Yeah, and Alton's been getting some rain, so it just depends on how much rain falls. I think they're out of respect for the weather. I think a lot of games will probably be called off just for safety reasons.
Weather or lawyers, Dave Murray. The liability issue of having all those kids out there.
Absolutely, yeah, no question about it.
It's a real thing. Dave Murray, thank you. Stay
You got
in
it
touch.
anytime.
We'll be paying attention. Take care. Bye-bye. Dave Murray, the 97.1 FM Talk chief meteorologist. I feel like class number 1 in meteorology is learning how to say meteorologist with confidence and gusto.
Would you say that you're still in class 1?
I haven't passed the class yet. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be a weather girl.
I don't think so. I think you would have been in sports.
I tried. And then I'm like, that's nice on weekends. Weather is 24/7, so that's even more intense than sports.
But there's more political news than weather news most of the time, wouldn't you say? So I think you chose the right profession.
Politics, I just dip my toe in every once in a while
Right.
and see what there is to say. Jack Posobiec is going to be with us when we come back. He is the senior editor at Human Events, and we're going to talk to him about the Southern Poverty Law Center having labeled Turning Point a hate group. And, all of this, I was asking about him coming on last week for this, and now we have a crazy lunatic who is a teacher in California who crossed the entire country with guns in tow on a train, boarded 2 trains to get to Washington, D.C., to shoot the president, to shoot journalists. I don't think we know 100%. I think he wanted to do mass carnage, but of course he has a lot of evidence of hating our president. Where is this hate coming from? Because we found out, at least as far as Charlottesville went and Turning Point went, there's been money and dollars invested in making sure that the hate is front and center of the stage. And it's incredibly consequential. Jack Posobiec, when we return. AirComfortService.com. If you haven't called Air Comfort Service yet to get your HVAC system looked at, I encourage you to do so at 314-513-0091. Air Comfort Service has been providing for almost 60 years here in the St. Louis bi-state area the best impeccable care for your HVAC system, both residentially and commercially. And I think it's important to remember right now, if you're listening to me and you are running the office, if you own the business, if you own the building and it's not cutting it, we've had some of those hot days and the AC, it's just not doing what it needs to do. It's running all the time. You're paying to have this thing go all the time and it's not cooling the building. Call Air Comfort Service for a commercial repair. 314-513-0091. You can call Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation and receive a free second opinion on a heat exchanger or compressor repairs. And they will be happy to come out and look at what you're dealing with and give you the honest assessment that you need to get back in your comfort zone as soon as possible. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
Sometimes it seems all lawmakers do is tax and spend. That's why Missouri voters passed the Hancock Amendment in 1980 to place a limit on what the government can do with your money. But the Hancock Amendment is outdated. It hasn't provided a taxpayer refund since 1999 and probably won't without reform. That's why Missouri needs a taxpayer Bill of Rights. Colorado has one, and taxpayers there have received more than $8 billion in refunds. It's simple. There should be limits on government spending and refunds when there's a surplus in the state budget. A taxpayer Bill of Rights constitutional amendment would help limit the growth of government. Missouri's budget has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, yet the state lags far behind states like Colorado in economic growth. The Hancock Amendment was supposed to protect taxpayers. Now it's time for an update and a taxpayer Bill of Rights. After all, it's your money. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The Biz-Dash 5K, presented by Worldwide Technology, is back. Produced by the St. Louis Sports Commission, this high-energy corporate race is St. Louis's healthiest happy hour, combining fitness, fun, and unbeatable team bonding for companies of every size. Runners and walkers of all levels are welcome. It all comes together at Energizer Park Thursday, May 7th in downtown St. Louis, an office party like no other. Create your company team today at stlbizdash.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We're working on connecting with Jack Posobiec, but we did want to get an opportunity to listen in here to Carolyn Levitt back at the podium. She told us last Friday that she was going to just go and have a baby this week, and she still has not had her baby. There's an assassination attempt on the president once again, and so she is addressing the White House. And I want to make sure that we get her thoughts here quickly on the subject matter. This could be her last press briefing, but what a briefing it might be.
The president and, quote, top Trump administration officials, as the depraved shooter noted in his manifesto at the White House Correspondents Association dinner on Saturday evening. I felt it was prudent to be here today to answer your questions and inform the American people about how the administration is responding to yet another attempt on President Trump's life. Saturday was supposed to be a joyful evening, celebrating free speech and the First Amendment with all of you, members of the press. Instead, the night was hijacked by a crazed anti-Trump individual who traveled across the country to assassinate the president and as many administration officials as possible. This is the third major assassination attempt against President Trump in 2 years. No other president in history has faced such repeated, serious attempts on his life. First and foremost, the president, the first lady, and everyone in this White House are extraordinarily grateful to the brave law enforcement professionals who sprang into action to apprehend the would-be assassin and keep all of us safe. The president would especially like to express his gratitude to the men and women of the United States Secret Service who acted with the utmost professionalism, courage, and sense of duty. This includes the heroic agent who took a bullet to the chest. Thankfully, he was saved by his bulletproof vest. Minutes after returning here to the White House to the Oval Office, despite fighting Secret Service to try to stay and keep the dinner going on Saturday, ahead of addressing you here in the briefing room, President Trump was intent on speaking to this brave agent to ensure he was okay. And the agent assured the president that he was. As you know, I was seated next to President Trump and the First Lady when the shots were fired before Secret Service swiftly moved us to safety backstage. The president's calm in the face of chaos, while yet another individual was trying to take his life, was really remarkable to witness, and it's something I will never forget. President Trump is fearless because he loves this country, and he is willing to put his own life on the line to deliver on the promises that he made to the American public who elected him here into the highest office in the land. And while we are blessed to have a fearless president, we should not live in a country where such constant fear of political violence permeates our society every single day. We can and we should have fierce disagreement in this country. As you all know, we disagree often, myself in this role and all of you in the news media. But those disagreements must remain peaceful. Debating, peaceful protesting, and voting are how we need to settle disagreements, not bullets. Nobody in recent years has faced more bullets and more violence than President Trump. This political violence stems from a systemic demonization of him and his supporters by commentators, yes, by elected members of the Democrat Party, and even some in the media. This hateful and constant and violent rhetoric directed at President Trump day after day after day for 11 years has helped to legitimize this violence and bring us to this dark moment. Those who constantly falsely label and slander the president as a fascist, as a threat to democracy, and compare him to Hitler to score political points are fueling this kind of violence. The left-wing cult of hatred against the president and all of those who support him and work for him has gotten multiple people hurt and killed, and it almost did so again this weekend. When you read the manifesto of this shooter, ask yourselves, how different is the rhetoric from this almost assassin than what you read on social media and hear in various forums every single day? The answer, if you're being honest with yourself, is that there is no difference at all. Much of the manifesto of the would-be assassin is indistinguishable from the words that we hear daily from so many. For example, as the First Lady of the United States pointed out this morning, just 2 days prior to the shooting, ABC's late-night host Jimmy Kimmel disgustingly called First Lady Melania Trump an expectant widow. Who in their right minds says a wife would be glowing over the potential murder of her beloved husband? And having experienced what I did with the First Lady on Saturday night, I can tell you that she was anything but that. This kind of rhetoric about the president, the First Lady, and his supporters is completely deranged, and it's unbelievable that the American people are consuming it night after night after night. As President Trump said on Saturday night at this podium, we as Americans must recommit ourselves to resolving our differences peacefully and uniting around the shared values that make our country great. The deranged lies and smears against the president, his family, his supporters have led crazy people to believe crazy things, and they are inspired to commit violence because of those words. It has to stop. And one more point. Saturday night served as yet another reminder of how important it is to fund the Department of Homeland Security. It is shameful that the United States Congress has kept this vital agency defunded for 73 days. The longest shutdown of a federal agency in U.S. history. The Secret Service is a vital component of DHS. It has been directly impacted by this reckless political gamesmanship. Everyone in this room who was there on Saturday night witnessed the heroes of Secret Service and federal law enforcement jump into action in the face of grave danger and uncertainty. Agents put their own lives in harm's way to protect the president, the First Lady, the Vice President, and members of the cabinet. One agent can be seen in video footage literally jumping onto the stage, not knowing where the attacker was or where the bullets were coming from at that point, to place his body in front of the President of the United States. These men and women are heroes. They perform their duties daily, and they have children and families too. And they do it despite the political turmoil surrounding their agency. Make no mistake, this defunding of DHS should be a national scandal. If Republicans defunded DHS and we saw another attempted assassination on a Democrat president, I would hope that the media coverage would be relentless and unforgiving, and I hope that it continues to be now. With the World Cup, America 250, the 2028 Olympics, and a presidential election all ahead, the Democrats' obstruction is placing an enormous and totally pointless burden on the Secret Service that can get more people killed. Enough is enough. There should be no further debate about this. Democrats need to do what President Trump has been calling on them to do for 73 days in a row and fund the Department of Homeland Security, period. This is a national emergency, and every member of Congress needs to put their country over party and get the Department of Homeland Security funded. With that, I will take a few of your questions today. Daniel, thank you for being here. Why don't you kick us off?
Thank you, Caroline. The president, Saturday after the assassination attempt, came here. He emphasized that law enforcement did their job, keeping everyone safe at the dinner. House Speaker Mike Johnson came out and said he believes the president needs greater protection. What is the White House's message to the millions of Americans who wake up here today nervous, uneasy about the safety of the president at events like this and the safety of other cabinet members?
Well, we certainly understand their fears and their worries. As you heard from the president himself, he continues to have trust in the United States Secret Service. As I just said, these are great men and women who are doing their jobs and performing their duties honorably. As we all witnessed on Saturday evening, within minutes, the president, the first lady, the vice president, members of the president's cabinet were ushered out of the room. The perpetrator who sought to inflict massive harm, as we all now know with the release of the manifesto on administration officials and the president himself, was stopped at the security perimeter that was set up. He tried to charge through it, as you saw on video, and he was quickly neutralized by Secret Service, and thank God that he was. With that said, obviously the White House is always asking the tough questions and ensuring the safety of the president. I understand there will be a meeting early this week convened by the White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles with top DHS leadership, members of the United States Secret Service, and our own operations team here to ensure the safety and the security of the president, as we do have many of these major events moving forward. So we're always monitoring operations and procedures, always asking the tough questions to ensure the president is safe, and the American people should be assured there's no higher priority for the president and his staff than the president's safety.
Caroline, Friday you said that you thought that gaggle out of the sticks would be your last one before your baby. Back in 2024, when the president had the attempt on his life in Butler, you cut your maternity leave short back then. You're obviously back here today after Saturday. Can you just elaborate a little bit why you felt it was important to be here to bring to the media and talk to the American people from the stand?
Sure. It's sort of crazy timing when you put it that way for both children with 2 assassination attempts against the president. I'm honored to work in this job. I view this job as the president's spokesperson and the White House spokeswoman as public service. It's not just any job. I'm honored to do it, and I'm honored to work and speak on behalf of President Trump, who has faced unprecedented adversity and challenges, and I'm honored to work for him. And again, as I witnessed on Saturday night, just his dogged resolve and determination to get back onto the stage, and he was pushing Secret Service and law enforcement to allow him to address, and that really, I think, hopefully gives the country the type of strength that we need. And I certainly know, as his spokeswoman, and I can speak on behalf of all of the staff here at the White House, the president inspires all of us to just keep going and keep fighting every day. Thanks, Daniel, and congrats to you on your new baby. He's beautiful. Aisha.
Just on the rhetoric, you mentioned the First Lady and Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel's comments were, "Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow." And he said this days before the shooting, but there does seem to be a normalization of rhetoric about assassinating this particular president. How can this administration try to put an end to this?
Well, I think you heard it directly from the president on Saturday night, Aisha, that in his words, we need to recommit ourselves as a country to toning down the rhetoric and to unifying around what makes our country great. That's true of everyone who works in this White House, but as I said, it's also true of everyone who has a voice and a platform across this country, whether you're on television, a podcast host, people listen. And when you have mentally disturbed individuals across the country who are listening to this crazed rhetoric about the president day after day after day, it inspires them to do crazy things. And unfortunately, it's not just the media, it is the entire Democrat Party has made their pitch to voters across the country that Donald Trump poses an existential threat to democracy, that he is a fascist, and that they compare him to Hitler. I mean, these are despicable statements that the American people have been consuming for years. And so many mentally perturbed individuals are led to believe these words are truth and then are inspired to act on it. I have a whole host of examples that we can share with you after. It is pages and pages of major Democrat Party elected officials saying, such as Rep. Hakeem Jeffries just this month said, "We are in an era of maximum warfare everywhere all the time." Governor Josh Shapiro said heads need to roll within the administration. Senator Alex Padilla said people are, quote, dying because of fear and terror caused by the Trump administration. Senator Elizabeth Warren, President Trump is making the country look like a, quote, fascist state. Senator Adam Schiff saying President Trump using a dictator playbook. Senator Ed Markey calling President Trump a dictator, saying that this administration's actions are authoritarianism on steroids. Governor J.B. Pritzker, never before in my life have I called for mass protest disruptions. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. You have Rep. Presley saying, "We'll see you in the streets." Rep. Monica McIver, a Democrat representative on Capitol Hill, "We will not take this shit from Donald Trump. He thinks he's a dictator. We are at war." These are Democrat elected officials calling for war against the President of the United States and his supporters. I could go on and on, but again, when you have people in positions of power that are saying things like this every single day for years, you are inspiring violence by people who are already mentally ill. And that's what we've seen against this president for far too long.
This is disinformation and misinformation online. There will be bite-sized clips that will go viral to the point where there are Americans in this country that believe that what happened Saturday night was staged. How does this White House tackle that with social media companies out there, whether it's X, Facebook, Instagram? How do they work with these companies to make sure that doesn't get out of control?
It's certainly a good question, Aisha. I don't have tangible answers for you on what we're doing with social media companies, if anything at all. What I will say is it's very important to us that we get the truth and the facts about this case and any case out there as quickly as possible to dispel some of that crazy nonsense that you do see running rampant online. And I think the Department of Justice and the FBI thus far have done a good job of disseminating the truth and the facts about this alleged attempted assassin, the perpetrator in this case, and I understand he'll be arraigned in court very soon. You all see that, and the Department of Justice will be giving a briefing and an update later today. So as far as we're concerned, just providing maximum transparency, and hopefully people will believe the truth rather than the lies and the conspiracies that so often do go crazy on social media. Rachel.
Thanks, Caroline. Does the administration view this as a security failure, or did the protocols work as they were designed?
The president has said he believes that the protocols worked. Again, you had a perpetrator who tried to breach the security parameter that was set up by Secret Service, and he was running as fast as he could and was immediately neutralized moments later. And again, having been right up there on the stage with the president and the first lady, I can tell you it was seconds before we were told to get down, and it was seconds before we found ourselves in the hold room backstage. It all happened literally within a matter of seconds. The president, the vice president, and the first lady being pulled to safety. That is not done if there's a lapse. So Secret Service did their jobs well. They communicated with one another to remove the president and the vice president to safety as quickly as they could, and obviously to neutralize the shooter as well. And thank God they did, because if that man was allowed into that ballroom, it would have been a much different scene.
And just one more follow-up on just how the White House could be rethinking security protocols going forward. I mean, we all remember after the attempted assassination in Butler, there were indoor rallies that were held after that. Is that out of the question, changing any additional security protocols when it comes to how the president does these events that are outside of the White House?
I definitely wouldn't say changes are out of the question. I think, again, that it's up to the White House here, and we view it as a great responsibility to ensure the maximum safety of the president and the vice president and the entire cabinet. And so we're always looking for ways to improve security. I think if you just sit here and say everything is perfect all the time, that's not a good way to operate. And so the White House will continue to engage with DHS and with Secret Service to find ways to improve and strengthen security. But as far as Saturday night is concerned, the president was satisfied with the response, and he's very grateful to the men and women who provided the response for him and his wife and members of his team.
Deanne. Thanks, Caroline. The president has talked about rescheduling the dinner within 30 days. Does he have a specific venue in mind, and would he consider hosting it at the White House?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a room big enough here at the White House, which is another point to be made, and the president is absolutely right. It's why the White House Ballroom project is not just a fun project for President Trump, like you will read in the media. It is actually critical for our national security that a larger, secure building on this complex, which is the most secure complex in the world, is built to accommodate not only large amounts of guests, but also the president, the vice president, members of the cabinet. The line of succession in this country should be able to gather freely in safety without the fear of threats or political violence. And the White House Ballroom will provide that. And so it's critical that we get this project done as quickly as possible.
Iran as well.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. Two questions, if that's all right. First, on the security situation on Saturday, kind of a follow-up here. Previous administrations have sent both the president and the vice president to the dinner, but after the foiled attack on Saturday, if the dinner is rescheduled, would President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance both plan on attending? And is it wise to have both of them in the same spot, given the presidential line of succession that you mentioned a second ago?
It's definitely a good question, and I know that it's one that will be raised. I can assure you the president intends to attend the event, as he has told all of you publicly. I don't want to rule in or out the vice president's attendance, but certainly that's a conversation that will take place.
Iran has proposed a mutual reopening of the strait, leaving the nuclear discussion for later in the process. Given that the nuclear program has been a red line for this administration, would the president agree to that kind of phased negotiation?
Well, only because it's been reported. I will confirm the president has met with his national security team this morning. The meeting may be ongoing, maybe not. I don't want to speak affirmatively because I was prepping to come out here, but the proposal was being discussed. I don't want to get ahead of the president or his national security team. What I will reiterate is that the president's red lines with respect to Iran have been made very, very clear, not just to the American public, but also to them as well.
So they're considering it.
I wouldn't say they're considering it. I would just say that there was a discussion this morning that I don't want to get ahead of, and you'll hear directly from the president, I'm sure, on this topic very soon.
I'm going to ask you about the Fed chairman, but first, 3 assassination attempts in 3 years. Is this going to change the type of events that the president goes to?
Well, again, that's going to be part of the conversations moving forward. But as you heard from President Trump, he does not want these deranged lunatics and these grave acts of political violence to change our American way of life. And I think it's a very brave thing for him to say. It'd be very easy for him to just hunker down here at the White House where he knows he's safe, but the president wants to be out across the country. He wants to go across the country to meet with Americans. He wants to celebrate the 250th birthday of our nation's anniversary this summer. As you know, we're gearing up for a big UFC fight here on the South Lawn. So there's many exciting events I know the president wants to be part of and will be part of moving forward. He's undeterred in that way, and it's something that inspires all of us here to keep going.
Senator Tillis is now dropping his objection to allowing Kevin Warsh to be confirmed because the DOJ has closed their investigation. Is the president satisfied that an Inspector General report into the Federal Reserve is enough to look into these renovations?
The president understands that the inspector general has greater tools at their disposal, perhaps even more powerful than a grand jury, to continue investigating the financial mismanagement of the Fed building, which is a priority for the president. Look, he's a builder himself. When he sees something has a lot of cost overruns, is taking too long, and in this case ripping off the American taxpayer, he wants to get to the bottom of it. I understand Senator Tillis put out a statement saying he'll support Kevin Warsh's confirmation. That has been our position all along from day one. He is more than qualified for the job, and we look forward to working with the Senate on his swift confirmation process.
Carolyn Leavitt speaking from the White House, answering a lot of those questions that folks have regarding the events of this weekend. And now we've got an eventful afternoon taking place here. We started the show today with Dave Murray. I can report now, you probably, if you're listening on the radio specifically, if you got your phone in hand, you know that we are getting weather alerts, including the tornado warning remaining in effect until 1:15 p.m. For western Madison and northern St. Clair counties in southwestern Illinois, east central St. Charles and northeastern St. Louis counties in east central Missouri, and the St. Louis City in east central Missouri. That would be us. One more time on those warnings, just in case you heard it and was like, ooh, I wish I could rewind that. This is the alert that we have right now to read for you. A tornado warning remains in effect until 1:15 p.m. for western Madison and northern St. Clair counties in southwestern Illinois, east central St. Charles and northeastern St. Louis counties in east central Missouri, and the St. Louis City in east central Missouri. So if you are in those areas, please take cover, wait it out. We'll pray that the Lord will bless our area here and move along quickly with this weather. But those areas, you need to understand you are under a tornado warning. Chances are your phone has blasted in your face. That certainly happened in here in the studio while we were listening to Carolyn Leavitt. You'll also continue to hear those alerts while you have your live radio on. This is the reason why you listen to radio, because it's live and it's local and it's right here. So stay tuned. We'll continue to cover that. We're going to check in again in the 2 o'clock hour with Dave Murray. We're going to kind of see how the day is going along as to when we put him in the 2 o'clock hour, but we'll touch base with him once again to make sure that we know what the rest of the afternoon and evening shapes up to be, because, you know, Ryan, what I was hearing was this was going to be a long window of potential bad weather. Not bad weather for a long period of time, but there was a long period of time where there could be bad weather.
Seems like this is moving in a little quicker than the influencers were saying that it was going to. I was expecting more this afternoon, but Dave Murray was on it.
Well, I don't know necessarily that it's done either. So keep it right here. We will have the latest for you. A reminder that tornado warning remaining in effect until 1:15 p.m. this afternoon for western Madison and northern St. Clair counties in southwestern Illinois, east central St. Charles and northeastern St. Louis counties in east central Missouri, and the St. Louis City in east central Missouri. Take cover, take care of yourself, take care of your pets. We'll be back with more coverage in a minute.
Hey, it's good to hear you.
Hey, Dad, isn't it good to see ya?
Yep, but with smoke alarms, we need to hear them. If one alarm is downstairs, you might not hear it upstairs.
At school, everyone hears the fire alarm.
That's why we install hardwired smoke alarms that all go off together, just like school.
Smoke alarms done the right way.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. Americans demanded border security, and House Republicans delivered. According to the Department of Homeland Security, for 10 consecutive months, U.S. Customs and Border Protection has reported 0 illegal aliens released at the border. I'm proud to have worked with the Trump administration to secure our southern border and uphold our immigration laws, and will keep fighting to advance strong policies that protect Missourians and keep America safe.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Just a reminder to have your air conditioner checked for the summer so you don't have a mishap and it goes down in the hottest day of the year. But it's always best to have it done. Call us and we'll be more than happy to come out there and check it for you. And like always, if you're having your furnace checked by another company and you are told that this is the year you need to replace it, call me for a second opinion. The 0% interest is still available on most brands. Save your cash and keep your credit cards open and away from those high rates. Call me. You'll be glad you did. Bart Inman, one easy number in Missouri and Illinois. The easiest. It is 314-293-2600. Or on the website, bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
We're talking about everything going on in the news today, including the extreme weather moving through our area right now. Also, we're asking you about the both sides rhetoric crisis in America. Is there one? That's the poll. We'd like you to vote on that and let us know what you think about the rhetoric in the United States as we continue to follow all of this weather moving through the St. Louis area. Keep it here.
Wait,
it is 12. Oh,
I'm going to go ahead and read the warning once again. The tornado warning remains in effect until 1:15 p.m. for western Madison and northern St. Clair counties and southwestern Illinois, east central St. Charles and northeastern St. Louis counties and east central Missouri, and St. Louis City in east central Missouri. So if you are in any of those areas until 1:15 p.m. at this point, if there are updated warnings, we will alert you that right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Annie Frey Show is St. Louis conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We've given you that tornado warning. There's another 25 minutes on that tornado warning for some areas here close. Downtown St. Louis is part of that. It says St. Louis City in east central Missouri. So we got those alerts here on our phone. A tornado, Amber Alerts do the same thing too. They kind of take over your phone. Can we get that TV fixed, please? It takes over your phone, which is good because you have an alert. You know, I remember after having... I'm getting text. Hold on a second. I'm getting text messages right now from schools. Like I said, I got kids in 4 different places right now. So I've been trying to coordinate for the last 90 minutes who's going to be where and when. But the hard part of doing that is knowing when the weather's going to hit. You need to be in a safe location and you need to be traveling to the other location when it's safe to travel. But if you can't time that, then it's hard to make plans. And all of the plans that I had made are now being disrupted by the tornado warnings that are hitting right now.
Well, that's the hard thing
in the area that all of our kids are.
Yeah, this whole system, we were told over and over, hey, it's going to be a little bit late afternoon.
I think that arrow is.
Oh my gosh!
Get out of there! Just put it over
is
there
that
somewhere
the
else.
track of a possible tornado that
I
Steve
think that's
Templeton's
rotation.
covering there?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I don't
rotation.
know. I mean, I hate to say this, but you need to be watching. No, I don't hate to say this. I don't care about you listening to my radio show right now. If you're in any of these areas, you need to have your television on in your basement. Turn the radio on.
If you're in your car, we're here for you. But
get to your basement.
Get to your
a
basement.
basement. Yeah, if you are in one of these areas. It looks like it's coming right over, just exactly what Dave Murray said at the beginning of the show is going to be north, the listening area, which is dictated by where's the St. Louis Arch. If you're north, you're north of the Arch.
Yeah.
If you're south of the Arch. And so here we are watching this and telling you to pay attention to it.
Well, the hard part about this system, it seems, is that it's going to last so dang long. And there's going to be, I don't know what waves of it. So we're getting the first one now, and then there's supposed to be this more of it coming
Does
this
Dave Murray
afternoon.
want to come on and talk to us right now? Or at 105? I don't know. I mean, we'll still be in the tornado.
Yeah, I'm on it.
What does he say?
He hasn't responded yet.
Okay. Dave Murray! Need ya!
But you're planning for school. You're planning all this stuff that gets out at, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock
Like I said with Dave Murray, there's a 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. window. 2 p.m. would be an early release, and 4 p.m. would be late. But all these school districts have these staggered releases because they have to use buses in a certain amount of phases depending on how big the school is.
Are your schools starting to cancel, or are they just giving you updates?
No, I've got 2 of the different locations where my kids are. They basically say that they're on lockdown, which is a way to say your kids are safe and they're aware of the situation, and so they're staying put.
I'm going to monitor our text line and our chat just because we have listeners all over the place, and just give us the reports of what's going on right now. Scooter says the storm has moved out of the 94/Harvester Road area.
According to Scooter. Meteorologist. Oh, did you hear?
You did it very well.
When
you
I said
graduated
Scooter,
to 102.
So Scooter and I get to go to the next level together. Next. You got another text?
This one actually, it comes from the text line. It says 70 at Now, this is from about 30 minutes ago, so it may have gone by now, but it said 70 at Ellsbury exit was, at least at that point, getting hammered. 70 has lakes of standing water.
It's fun and dangerous. Don't drive through.
Don't go fast, no matter where you are, because it's probably going to have a lot of standing water all over the area.
What else you got there, meteorologist Ryan?
Well, I got 314-241-9797 if you want to give us a live report, because we're stuck in a studio and we can see out our window and it's getting way dark.
I'm looking out. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a camera on the outside window here. I don't know what that does for you on the radio.
There's this little corner that we can see out of our studio window, and it is getting...
I can see a lot more than you can,
Oh,
and if
yeah.
that bothers you, just stay right
what
over
I
there.
can see
just
is
stay right over there.
Because it is getting very dark.
And I hate to say this, too. May 16th was the tornado.
Mhm.
Ethan, knock it off.
Ethan's seeing what I'm seeing.
Don't make it worse for Ryan. He's a sensitive man. When we were in here broadcasting, why don't you put this on Fox 2, just in case we have to go to live coverage if we have to shelter. When we were, let's make sure that's who we have to broadcast to. We're learning on the job, people.
It is.
May 16th was the tornado that ripped through North City. We're very close to North City. We're, 6 streets over?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're dead center, so
Yeah,
we're
but
close
I mean,
to everything.
We come in on the Tucker bridge, the Stan Usual Bridge. Most of us do each day, and that just goes right next to.
Yeah.
When you exit, you're basically going into North City, and then you turn into downtown, and the tornado came right through there, and we realized, because we had the weather on, it was a day exactly like today. We were watching our local. We've got 2 different weather channels, local St. Louis weather channels on in the studio right now. And we were watching, and we were watching, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, hey, there's our building. And it was on the weather broadcast. And, we're in is this a skyscraper? This is a tall building.
Yeah,
20,
I think so.
Is it 22 floors?
Yeah, I think
Isn't
so.
that the top floor?
22 is the roof.
You going to go to the weather center?
No, I'm not.
Ethan wants to.
Yes, he really does.
Yeah.
should
Are we
let him.
breaking? I can't do this forever. Stay very attentive to the weather. A reminder, there are tornado warnings for the St. Louis area. So please, those go till 1:15. We'll try to reconnect with Dave Murray in a minute. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com. How's your leaky basement? Is your basement leaking right now while you're hunkered down in it? I hope not. You need to make sure that you have somebody come fix this to confirm that your basement can be waterproofed, leak-free, so you don't have to stress about it. 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900. Folks, it's green outside, and I'm not talking about the grass and the trees. 314-271-9900. This basement waterproofing is a necessity for the integrity of your home, and Home Shield Foundation Repair is the noted name in the business from a local family-owned standpoint. You hire somebody like Matt Hayes to come look at your basement and to understand what you're dealing with, and he's going to fix it right the first time. That's so important. A lifetime warranty to back up his work to waterproof your basement. All you need to do is invite him out. Doesn't cost you anything to have them look at your basement to give you a solution that will stand the test of time. 314-271-9900, online at HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
The Secret Service did their job. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. That from the White House spokeswoman who was near the president when a shooter opened fire outside a hotel ballroom Saturday night during the White House Correspondents Dinner.
It all happened literally within a matter of seconds. The president, the vice president, and the first lady being pulled to safety. That is not done if there's a lapse.
Caroline Leavitt says President Trump is satisfied with the response, but also that if security adjustments need to be made, they will be. She's also calling out hateful rhetoric, saying that years of dehumanizing the president and his supporters is fueling violence.
The deranged lies and smears against the president, his family, his supporters have led crazy people to believe crazy things, and they are inspired to commit violence because of those words. It has to stop.
Leavitt says a Secret Service agent shot in the chest during the attack was saved by his bulletproof vest. She also calls building a White House ballroom critical for national security. Preservationists who argue Congress has to approve the project are refusing a Justice Department request to drop their lawsuit voluntarily. The DOJ is expected to ask a judge for dismissal in light of the weekend shooting. The shooting suspect, Cole Allen, making an initial court appearance. He's a teacher with an engineering degree.
And then we know that he was reposting a lot of anti-Trump commentary on social media. Blue Sky was one of the platforms he used a great deal. And there are a lot of anti-Trump commentary in the so-called manifesto that he sent to family members just before he carried out the shooting.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt outside the Allen's family home in Torrance, California. President Trump just calling for Jimmy Kimmel to be fired after a monologue that also drew rare public criticism from the First Lady, who called Kimmel's words about her family corrosive and designed to divide the country. America is listening to Fox News.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids. Rolaids' dual-active formula has calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. Yeah, you heard right. 2 actives for that powerful relief. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolade spells powerful relief. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Well, we've been telling you about the nasty weather. I feel like when we go back on the air, it gets worse looking outside. But a reminder for you folks who are listening to have your eyes in the skies right now. It's probably pretty hard to avoid it, considering many of us here, of course, downtown St. Louis, we got our phones blew up, and we, of course, ran an emergency broadcast alert to tell you about the tornado warning. I need an update on that tornado warning, if you got that from there, just to make sure it's not extended from 1:15, because currently the one that is out there right now goes through 1:15 p.m., and it's for western Madison and northern St. Clair counties in southwestern Illinois, east central St. Charles and northeastern St. Louis counties, and east central Missouri, and the St. Louis City and east central Missouri. That's where we are watching this out the windows right now. It's ominous looking, very reminiscent for me of, it doesn't mean that the result is going to be the same at all, but this is very similar to what we dealt with in that May weather situation from last year. As I said, don't know how this is going to materialize. It could blow over and it could be a nothing burger, and I'm praying that that's the case. But there's definitely weather out here right over the top of us right now. We are watching coverage of multiple local broadcast news and weather in the studio here right now, and there are quite a few videos over from downtown St. Louis showing a significant amount of severe weather on the screens, including from downtown. So if you are here downtown, if you are in the northern area, I've heard that Maryland Heights, and it's tracking into Granite City, Edwardsville, Collinsville area. Be attentive to the track of this. Make sure that you are paying attention to the weather. Respect it. Take it seriously. Put yourself in a position where you can just go downstairs and hang out in the basement for a while until this thing passes over. We also have our text line open over. Is that the landfill?
Yeah, that's the landfill.
We're looking at it.
314-241-9797. That's 314-241-9797. You can text us. What do you got on the text line right now?
So listen to the difference. Now, we're standing, of course, in downtown St. Louis, which is, you'd call that sort of dead center of St. Louis. Listen to the difference in the text we're getting from north of us, North St. Louis, to south of us, and that includes Illinois. This one says, I was traveling out of Edwardsville going west on 270, and there's a dark wall of clouds. I feel bad for people north of Edwardsville, so that's even north of there. But then this person says, pockets of standing water on 367 from Lindbergh headed to Alton.
Is Trisha still out there?
No, she will be. But
hey, Trisha, come back in here. I have a question for you. Keep going.
And then this one, obviously, this was south of us, and this is just a couple minutes ago. Dry streets and sun poking through in Arnold. And that's just before 1 o'clock.
Well, Dave Murray was on with us at the start of the 1 o'clock hour, and he said that if the cloud cover kind of lingers around, that kind of calms the strength of whatever is going to come through. If you see sun coming out. Now, Arnold, I don't know where that is in relativity to what we're talking about right now.
South.
But if the sun does come out, he said that Dave Murray basically said that gives the sun, it gives it the opportunity to really strengthen. Are we? Could we put Fox 2 on the air? Yes, we can. Let's just listen in right now and hear what they're saying. This is live coverage from Fox 2 Weather. Let's just dip in and see what they're saying.
When there's one in Kansas, we'll go and dissect it on the Doppler radar. But these are cells that we see start to evolve into rotating systems, especially when you see a couple of things happening. And the one thing that Jamie and I have been watching is this inflow right here. It's right in through there. And you can see how that is feeding into the heart of the warned storm. If this continues to feed into it, that could eventually create more rotation, could create eventually a funnel or a tornado. Again, nothing imminent, but just that radar structure, Jamie, really something that we've seen quite a bit of here just through all of our years of watching Doppler radars.
Yeah, and another thing, we just heard the torrential rain overhead the Fox 2 studios. You can see right behind that storm that we're watching with the warning on it is another pretty heavy area of rain and storms. And then they have, as you've shown a few minutes ago, they have kind of lined up just north of that boundary. So we could be getting into a heavy rain situation for some areas as well there with these training thunderstorms.
Couple of damage reports, mostly from the Ellisville area. A couple of trees are down in Ellisville, Clayton and Hutchison Road in Ellisville. I did see a report, although wasn't specific on the location, but some tree limbs down, some 1-inch tree limbs down just to the north of, or maybe just west of Forest Park as the storm rolled through there. Nothing confirmed about that, but definitely a storm system that has that potential to bring about the strong and gusty winds, the rotating winds, and the tornado potential as the warning continues. Technically, for about another 5 minutes or so for this warning, it's still a question mark at the moment whether or not the Weather Service will continue with this warning, will extend the warning into Madison County. I would say this for sure. Pontoon Beach, Edwardsville, Granite City, Glen Carbon, all areas where you should be taking cover right now. Nothing imminent, but potentially, as we've seen with this storm and past storms like this, they develop really, really fast and they build across the area really, really fast. So we just sort of need to get out ahead of this in a sense. We need to get out ahead of the potential for damaging winds and be prepared as the storm rolls in, because it, again, could deepen and build really quickly. So we're zoomed in on the Doppler radar here. Pontoon Beach, essentially, the storm is rotating or trying to rotate right on the northern edge of Horseshoe Lake. So Pontoon Beach, Glen Carbon, the Edwardsville area, all within the warned part of this storm system. Rotation potentially could develop even more right in through here, right over Pontoon Beach. So again, taking cover is something that you want to do currently as the storm pushes from west to east in through Madison County. Eventually, this warning could be extended. I want to reset the scene here with 5 more minutes to go in this warning, just to give you a little heads up on how we go through the rest of the afternoon. This is just the first of several waves of storm energy to push across the metro area. So here's our current one right in through here. The next one is building right in through here, and then another one and another one. And these are all feeding on an atmosphere right here that is extremely unstable. Now, north of this area, let me circle it, north of this area, right in through here, this part of the atmosphere is worked over from showers and storms last night and early this morning. But the area south, and it's south of 70 and generally in the 44 corridor, point south or near Metro St. Louis and south, these are all areas that had a chance to recharge quite a bit. Instability, humidity, warm air, gusty winds, all of the variables starting to build back this morning and now into the afternoon, that could fire more thunderstorms. And the specific, real specific zone to watch would be right in through here. There's an outflow boundary that's come out of that morning convection that was across the northern parts of the viewing area that has created a boundary line. It's essentially a cold front, and that cold front is going to be the focus line for thunderstorm energy to work across the area. So that will be the trigger, the next trigger to watch as we work through the afternoon. But essentially, line of energy here, line of energy here, line of energy here, line of energy here. All these, as they continue to work from west to east and move in this direction, they're moving west to east, all will feed on that unstable atmosphere, all will continue to feed on that boundary and could produce more tornadic type cells. Again, a scenario where all those tornado ingredients are in place, a scenario where those tornado ingredients will continue to build through the afternoon, and we'll obviously be watching that. Couple more minutes on the warning here. We'll stay with it as we go in through Madison County. If the Weather Service decides to reissue or to extend the warning, we will definitely do that. We're getting some word from the Weather Service and from the spotters that have moved into the area, storm spotters that are watching the skies. Another spotter reporting a rotation of a wall cloud near Rankin Road and Bivens Road in Madison County. So Rankin Road and Bivens Road. Now the Weather Service is going to, and you'll hear our sirens here in a second, and it's just populated on our map. Weather Service now is extending that tornado warning in through Madison County. You saw that polygon right there, just populate the map. Now a new tornado warning has been issued for the rest of Madison County. Does include Edwardsville and Highland and anywhere in that 70, 270, 55 corridor, all the interchanges there. This warning is until 2 p.m. this afternoon for Madison County, the tornado threat, with rotation potentially, wall cloud reported in that area of, let me say it, find it again, Rankin Road and Bivens Road. That has now inspired the Weather Service to continue that tornado warning till 2 o'clock this afternoon. So that cell continues to show those rotating signs, continues to show, and at the moment, mostly high. But I want to zoom into an area right now on the Doppler, wind profile area. Now, let me just give you the indication of where we are. Here's Edwardsville. Here's that 255 and 55 convergence area. Here's 270 and 70 right here. Those convergence areas, you can see just a very small speck of our storm runner icon. Chris is going northbound on 255, and he's heading towards this rotation right here. Chris got a good sight of the storm system right now. Chris, let's bring you back in, and I know exactly where you're headed. Could you give our viewers a little indication of what you're looking at?
Yeah, there are a couple of areas that are suspect. We've got very strong inflow. In fact, I'm going to zoom in on this area off to my northeast. We're on 255 coming up on 270. And can we go to max 13? If we can pull up max 13, guys, and let me know. This is the area where we've got strong inflow coming in from the southeast, and then behind it and above it, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit now, we've got, and now that is starting to lift up a bit into the cloud, so we might be getting we're right underneath, actually, the area where things are trying to spin a little bit. We're kind of in that band along the leading edge that is coming up on Interstate 255 at 270. So there's some interesting goings on there with some of the scud clouds getting sucked up into the updraft. And then I'm going to bring it around because we are literally right underneath it. And I'm going to look back to the southwest and show you what we're seeing along 255 here, and then that area back there just to our southwest. So that there's a whole zone that we're watching that essentially extends from just west of Glen Carbon through Namioki and Granite City, where the supercell storm is catching back up to the outflow boundary like it did when it was over St. Louis County, what was that, 30, 40 minutes ago. So that's when we started to see the rotation that popped up that came and went very quickly. But over here, you know, if the storm latches back onto that boundary, again, we could get a very quick spin up going here of the tornado threat as it moves through Madison County along Interstate 270 towards Interstate 70. So we're talking Edwardsville in the Glen Carbon area that we're watching carefully. We're coming up on exit 9 on Interstate 70, which is the Glen Carbon SIU campus exit, or the Collinsville exit for 157. That's kind of the area that we are in right now. And that uplift that we were seeing earlier, looks like it shifted. We're just, because we've moved, it's going to be right about in there, right in there. So it's behind the trees here off to my left, but there is some uplift. I don't want to call it rotation yet, but there is definitely some uplift in that portion of the cloud deck that is sitting right over us and just to our northwest, very close to the intersection of 255 and 270 near Glen Carbon. Glenn?
Yeah, warning, tornado warning for that area, that leading edge, that rotating spin right now that we continue to analyze. I've got Chris and his location. You can see it right there. So just to give you a little radar truth and then the ground truth of what he is seeing visually there, that is the part of the system that is showing potential rotation. As Chris has mentioned, nothing that's real imminent at the moment, but the rotation may be a little higher up in the cloud cover. But the warning now continues for Edwardsville, for Glen Carbon, for Jarvis, for Marine, anywhere in that central to eastern parts of Madison County and moving off to the east. The motion of this system, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, the motion of the system is north and east, so you can see Madison County, but let's just give you a little more specific warning on how this is operating, how this is moving. Moving to the north and east at about, let's say 35 miles an hour. That puts it into the Glen Carbon area here in the next 4 minutes. So 123, Edwardsville at 127, Marine at 140, Highland at 148, and then points west, if it continues on that trajectory, would probably take it into some of our counties adjoining Madison County, more than likely out of the warning, but into Bond and Clinton County, eventually moving off to the east and to the northeast. So again, a storm that has given us indications that it has the potential to rotate. Nothing that is specifically coming in at the moment that is giving us that sign that there is a rotation happening at the moment, but we're seeing areas here, and again, I'm going to circle this zone right here, and you can see Chris's relationship to that cell. This is the area that we're watching really carefully. Classic Doppler. Then we're getting into our wind profile modes. If anything is getting lifted up into the atmosphere, we would see a donut hole right there, but it doesn't look like it. That we're seeing that scenario currently. But in our velocity and wind profiler modes, I'm shooting at the base of the storm system with the Doppler radar scans, and you can see there are areas here where it is potentially rotating at the base of the cloud. And again, let me just give you that jurisdiction of what a storm system does. We will see rotation within that storm cell. So when you see Chris's view there, the Glen Carbon view, up at the base of that system, there'll be rotation within that part, that dark, really ominous part of the cloud. There'll be, and we can see that on our Doppler radar. So that's an early indication of potentially a funnel forming. And when a funnel forms, it becomes visible as, you know, that classic funnel cloud-looking tornado that we've seen 100 times. But then eventually we kind of wait to see when it touches the ground, or if it touches the ground, that's when we call it a tornado. So 3 kind of specific life cycles. We see rotation, Weather Service issues a warning. We see a funnel. We get the ground truth, we get the visual, and then we get the tornado touching the ground, and that's where we start to see damage. So at the moment, we're sort of, I would call it stage 1 of tornado development. We can see the rotation in the system. We're just kind of waiting for the potential of this starting to form the funnel and starting to push down toward the ground. Joining me in the studio here is Haley Fitzpatrick, too, who will eventually continue our coverage as we go through the afternoon on our streaming channel. And if you haven't downloaded our streaming channel,
so you've been listening
Fox 2
to
STL
live coverage
Plus.
when Fox 2 network here, channel in downtown St. Louis, coverage of this weather event that we're experiencing right now. I think the report is that downtown St. Louis is now clear. I don't have the current. Can you get me the current warnings and stuff up here, please? They do have, I know for Madison County, do you have it on your phone, Ethan? Anybody? Okay. They have extended tornado warnings till 2 p.m. Most of it is on the east side of the river, so we will give you the updated alerts as they come in. Of course, if you're listening to a live broadcast on radio, we are here local and live for you, and you will get those emergency broadcast alerts that will be catered to our listening area, which is important when weather is happening like this. It is very severe right now. The conditions are very severe for portions of our audience, certainly not for all of our audience. The National Weather Service in St. Louis has issued a tornado warning for southeastern Madison County and southwestern Illinois until 2 p.m. At 1:13 p.m. Central, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing tornadoes was located over Pontoon Beach, moving east at 20 miles per hour. So please be attentive right now. That tornado would be near Pontoon Beach, South Roxana. This is 10 minutes ago, so this will have moved on by that. Roxanna and Hartford around 1:15, which was a little bit ago. Edwardsville and Collinsville around 1:20 p.m. Central. That's right now. Glen Carbon and Maryville at 1:25. So if you are in those areas, please keep your eyes on the radar. And essentially, your job right now is to get to a safe place, the central portion of your home, the basement if you have it, to just stay there and wait for the weather to pass. It does look like it's moving quickly. So once it is past your area, for now, you should be safe, but it is a weather event day, and we will continue to keep you updated on that coverage throughout the course of the show. Dave Murray will join us again in the 2 o'clock hour to give us an update on potentially another round of this if it is to continue to come in. So keep it right here on 97.1 FM Talk for live breaking coverage. Stewart's American Mortgage. He's the bagel loan guy. And if you're looking to refinance your mortgage to get a new mortgage on a new home purchase, Stewie deserves a phone call, a text message, so he can earn your business. The whole model with Stewart's American Mortgage and the bagel loan is set up around giving you the very best possible way to get that new mortgage at a cost-affordable, economically intelligent way for you. He does business with you directly. I will remind you that when you call 314-324-4440, that is a direct line to Stewie's cell phone. It's the one he calls me on if we're talking about stuff in the news or if we're planning for him to come in the studio. You call him, you text him at 314-324-4440, and he's going to be there to walk you through a bagel loan, which is a new or a refinance on a mortgage for you that comes with $0 in closing costs. He covers the closing costs for you. There are none. You do not have to worry about them. 314-324-4440. You can Google the bagel loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
Spring is here in St. Louis, and if you're thinking about selling, now's the time. But timing is only part of it. Hey, it's Mark Cox, and I'm with Gloria Liu, your home sold guaranteed realty. Gloria, why is it still so important to choose the right realtor?
Simple. Not every home is selling fast or for top dollar. Here's the difference. I already have the buyers. With over 2,400 buyers in waiting, I'm not just listing your home. I'm matching it with demand. That's how I offer my guaranteed sale program. We sit down, agree on the price and timeline, and if your home doesn't sell, I'll buy it myself. But my goal isn't to buy your home. It's to sell it for the most money possible in the least amount of time. And that's exactly what my system does. My clients don't have to hope their home sells. I guarantee it.
If you're selling your home this spring, call the one I trust, Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession.
Did you know replacing old vinyl windows with more vinyl windows might not be the best choice? Hi, it's Kim, and I'm here to tell you about Infinity from Marvin Windows, because these fiberglass windows, they're energy efficient, they're beautiful, and they're custom built to fit your home perfectly. The team at Lakeside Renovation and Design just makes the process so easy. I love the fact that they even offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Look, if you're tired of drafts, high energy bills, or maybe hard to open windows, now is the time to upgrade. Visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free consultation today.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. You and me and everybody in the listening area right now have our eyes on the skies. We're going to connect with Dave Murray in the 2 o'clock hour to see what is to be reported from this weather event that's gone through our St. Louis area right now. North of the city, St. Louis City was in the warning, the tornado warning that expired at 1:15, but they have expanded a tornado warning here. I'm going to read directly from the alert from the National Weather Service here in St. Louis. Tornado warning for southeastern Madison County in southwestern Illinois until 2 p.m. Central. They're at 1:13 p.m. Central. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Pontoon Beach, moving east at 20 miles an hour. So just to reiterate, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. That's a lot different than, touchdown and all of that. So the hazard, of course, is a tornado, and it is a radar indicated rotation. At the reporting of this alert, there has not been a visually spotted that I have information on. So please pay attention. The tornado area, Glen Carbon and Maryville, was the latest area that could be affected, and that was indicated to be potentially around 1:25 p.m., so that's in the past. I'm looking at this alert. It says other locations impacted by the tornado include Pogue, Fruit Road, and Kaufman. This includes the following highways: Interstate 55 in Illinois near exit 23, Interstate 70 in Illinois between exits 21 and 24. So we're going to continue to follow this news as it happens. As I mentioned, we had Dave Murray on at the beginning of the show. We will have him on again in the 2 o'clock hour. We did touch base with the live coverage a little bit earlier with Fox 2 to listen to their coverage. They're showing a lot of images of downtown, a lot of images in the Metro East area as well, driving down, I think it was 270 that they were heading, and it does appear that we are about 30 minutes away from this current warning that we are under from that expiring. Could they extend it? Of course they could. So keep your ears and eyes open. Of course, if you're in any of those areas or near them, just go to the basement and get yourself safe. Go to an internal room and make sure you're prepared for any severe weather should it come over. And we are going to deliver you the alerts as we have them. 314-241-9797. Text messages can be sent to that location. Ryan's going to read a couple for us right now. Again, that's 314-241-9797. If you'd like to text us what you've noticed or seen, we would like to have it. Ryan, what do you got so far?
Again, there's just this huge split between what's happening roughly north of 64 and what's happening south of 64.
Is anything happening south of 64?
Not really. And that's what the radar indicates, and what's all the text indicate too, is that if you are south of 64, you may have seen some rain.
I'm curious if you're south of 64 and you look north, if it looks
bad.
Yeah, if you can tell.
I'm betting it does. But it sounds like most of what people are experiencing south of here and south of 64, and then as you move into Illinois, that would be south of 70 or something like that, would be that there's really not that much going on. Tom here in Clayton says on the text line, light rain, not sure what to expect next. And then in Hillsboro, this person, no name, says sunny and some clouds in Jefferson County, I think is what they mean there. Sunny and some clouds in Hillsboro, Missouri. Feel bad for those north of him. So, again, we're covering this because broadcast radio covers so much area, and if you were in these areas, man, it's pretty widespread. And the other thing is, too, it's 1:30 right now in St. Louis, 1:32, and this watch for tornadoes, not warning, but the watch goes on until 9 o'clock tonight for a lot of this listening area, this market area. So whether this is going to be round one, whether there could be a lot more developing, we'll find out from Dave Murray.
All those details at 2 o'clock. This is one of those days where if you are in a position like me, Ryan, your wife teaches where your kids are, so at least they're all in one location together. But there are a lot of people who, in that transitionary period, it might just be, I had this thought a lot as well. Is it going to be rough for me driving home after the show? Because generally speaking, I bolt out of here and I have to go like a Easter egg hunt and collect all my kids. Is there going to be a problem with maybe needing to stay here for a little bit and then having to move through some nasty weather? I'm making the mistake of looking out.
You know what drives me crazy too is that I'm sure your mind does this as a parent, but you have to tell yourself, look, stop worrying about these things. For whatever reason today, my daughter just felt kind of ill, nothing particular, but we said just stay home. She's had a really busy couple weeks, so she is with her grandma, my mother-in-law, in Collinsville. A lot like you, where you go, well, it would be great if they were all together, but they're not. And you start to go through the scenarios. Oh, what could happen if it hits Collinsville and not their school?
Panic.
You do, and I know that that's not logical, but it still happens.
I think this is the level of panic and anxiety I have as a mom, which maybe you have this or maybe you don't, or maybe I'll unlock a new level of anxiety for you. What if I relocate my kid from one place to the other and then something happens where I relocate them to?
I know. And that's where my mind's at, is just going, oh, what if one of them gets hit by it and the other ones don't? What if we had not allowed her to go to school today or had allowed the boys to stay home?
This is a totally different subject, but when there are events that happens at schools and there are kids who stayed home that day or whatever, and they, you know what I'm talking about by events that happen at schools.
Yeah.
When that type of stuff takes place, and then there are kids that will forever, they had a doctor's appointment that day or something like that. It's just all of these things that you're like trying to make the best decisions you can for your kids, but you have no control over it. If there's nothing you can't anticipate, you can't predict the future. It is what it is. So you just pray. I mean, honestly, that's really what ends up happening. You just pray. So
from what we've seen so far, this has been extreme weather, but there hasn't been any widespread devastation, at least that we've heard reported yet.
We haven't seen any sorts of actual tornadoes that confirmed that I know of. The tornado warning that is taking place is inching through Madison County right now, but that warning initially did start. I think Maryland Heights was the first place that they kind of mentioned, and inched its way through north of downtown, and now is in Madison County.
Yeah, interesting text here. I don't know what the science is here, but this person says, I live in Maryland Heights. There's actually a geological reason the tornadoes start there. The average storm track is 45 degrees to the northeast.
Storm track.
Storm track. Sturm. The bluffs start the updrafts, which starts the rotational funnel clouds. This person just texted in, I'm assuming they're near the old Chesterfield Mall, because they said they are starting to get hail on Clarkson Road by the old Chesterfield Mall. That's the first report I've heard.
Wait a second. What time did that send? Because at Chesterfield?
Just now. Said they're starting to get hail on Clarkson Road by the old Chesterfield Mall.
314-241-9797 if you want to give us a call, 314-241-9797. We're going to take a quick break here and regroup and make sure we have the latest on all of the alerts. Reminder, if you are in those areas, really southwestern Illinois, that's a pretty broad area. We're looking a lot at Madison County, and it's moving out of Madison County East, so you're not quite yet. But that area around 55 and 70, the intersection, which really hovers right over Troy, Illinois, looks like it's exiting the Edwardsville, Glen Carbon area, Troy area, and moving eastward. Stay attentive, and we will continue to cover it as it happens here. We'll get to, as soon as this weather gets out of our area, we'll get to the news of the day as well, including Dave Murray, who will join us again in the 2 o'clock hour. We'll be right back.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group, as they show you how to create a worry-free retirement. It's Tuesday, April 28th at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield at 6:30. Here are Thomas and Bob with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and would like to know how to turn your 401k and IRA into a worry-free retirement? Would you like to learn the investment strategy that gives you market growth while avoiding the market losses at the same time?
Would you like to get your free personalized retirement income plan? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free and have a worry-free retirement? If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Have a worry-free retirement and join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw. It's at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield, Tuesday, April 28th at 6:30 p.m. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Want to hear a shocking statistic? Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. Don't believe it? Google it. And that doesn't count serious injuries like birth injuries to perfectly healthy children. All doctors wear white jackets, but it doesn't make them all the same. Most medical errors are committed by the same quacks over and over again. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Many hospitals looking for more profits are forcing doctors and their groups to be employees of the hospital or be forced out of their system. It's a troubling trend in medicine. People make mistakes, but medical mistakes are huge and often forever. If you believe your child suffered a birth injury or a misdiagnosis or mistake led to a loved one's death or injury, let our team of medical malpractice lawyers examine your case for free. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Well,
the choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
we are watching the radar and reporting it live to you. No matter where you are, we are going to keep on this because the weather just keeps going. It is a long system, and the watch continues through 9 o'clock tonight. We are on until 3 o'clock, so that's as far as we can handle it, and then we'll hand it over to Mark Reardon. But Dave Murray going to join us in the 2 o'clock hour to update us on the latest, so stick around for that. It is 1:39, 1:40 now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Bold takes, real talk, no apologies. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Annie Frey Show. It is a stormy day, and interestingly enough, that text message you said about, do you still have it up there, the Chesterfield hail?
Yeah, it says, getting hail on Clarkson Road by the old Chesterfield Mall.
I said, are you sure that's a current text, a new text? And then the radar indicates that there's another walloping storm coming our way.
Yeah. And
you got to drop the G when you say walloping.
Right, you can't say walloping.
Is walloping?
It's unprofessional.
That sounds like an animal.
So here's a couple more.
Have you seen a walloping in the wild?
I think you're thinking of maybe something that's galloping.
No, I'm not.
No?
Wallop.
Can a wallop gallop?
Wallopings don't gallop.
I wouldn't know. Never seen one in the wild. Only seen them in zoos.
Aren't they Australian?
Yes.
No, those are wallabies, Brad.
Okay. Somebody tell me how to pronounce the city name. I'm from this area. Don't think that I'm a transplant.
Collinsville.
No.
O'Fallon.
I'm going to try it, and you tell me if I get it right. They said it is sunny in Valles Mines. V-A-L-L-E-S. Valles?
Are you trying to say phallus without saying
No,
it?
I'm not trying to say phallus.
No, you did.
V-A-L-L-E-S Mines, Missouri.
Why are you saying this like you've unlocked some sort of next level?
Because there's going to be a pronunciation, and I'm going to get it wrong, and then everybody's going to text. And then here we go.
I think we've arrived. 314-241-9797.
Two people.
Are you asking the people or are you asking us?
Well, if you know, that's quicker.
I'm not going to tell you now.
You don't know either.
You'll never know.
Two texts coming in about Baldwin. This person says, Baldwin, it's pitch black with rain right now.
Rick says Valley Mines, and then Pat says Vale Mines. So you guys need to get it together.
See? Thank you.
You
and
too.
Then,
you need to get it together too, Ryan.
The loudest lightning and thunder I have ever heard.
Yikes.
Is now starting to hail, small hail in Baldwin. I know how to pronounce that one.
Okay, Illinois people in the room, how good are you at knowing where Missouri towns are?
I know the biggest towns.
How good are you Missouri people at knowing where Illinois towns are?
You're terrible at it.
We already know you're terrible at it.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will say the name of a major Illinois town, and people will be like, "Where's that?"
It's
that's in this area.
Warden.
Well, that's not even a major one, but I'll say Collinsville.
The biggest
sometimes.
Mardi Gras party you'll ever be.
People don't even know it's in the St. Louis area.
Who? Where?
Collinsville.
Collinsville?
Yeah.
Never seen a big ketchup bottle before?
Edwardsville, I think most people have heard of. O'Fallon, just because everybody knows there's two of them.
Godfrey Alton.
Those are not well known.
Oh, yes, they are.
Godfrey Alton, maybe.
Godfrey? Yeah, they're just right across the river.
I don't know if you said I'm from Godfrey, if people would know where that was, though, in Missouri.
It's the fancy Alton people.
Okay.
I think that's what the Godfrey people would say. Godfrey people are like, maybe. All right. Well, let's break. Keep sending your text messages in 314-241-9797. That's 314-241-9797, and let us know. We're going to connect with Dave Murray in the 2 o'clock hour. So we'll get the latest on what has transpired here through the Metro East area. It's culminating right now. There is a warning that exists that goes till 2 p.m. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 2:15 for central St. Louis County. So St. Louis, you're back in the ball game here. It's like the reentry rule in high school baseball. At 1:42 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over Chesterfield, moving at 30 miles an hour. We could have told you that here. Ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Radar indicated impact people and animals outdoors will be injured. Expect hail damage to roofs, siding, windows, and vehicles. Keep it here for the latest. Dave Murray in the 2 o'clock hour. Text us your observations on the weather and really anything else. 314-241-9797. Back in a minute. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com. I really want to encourage you to give Matt Hayes the opportunity to come check out your basement and tell you what you're dealing with. And I understand if you have a basement water situation-ship happening down there, you are probably trying to see, like, gosh, does this really need to have the whole rigmarole done to waterproof this basement? I want you to think about what that water is doing every time it makes its way from outside into your basement. Nothing is getting better. And the sooner you attend to it, the less costly it could be. I've seen some photos. Folks, I have seen some photos from Matt Hayes of people who waited, and boy, that got to be much, much bigger of a project and much more immediate of a project. If you have a basement issue that you need to have looked at when it comes to waterproofing or foundational concerns, structural issues, the experts, the local family-owned business of Home Shield Foundation Repair, they're ready to take your call. 314-271-9900 online at HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
97.1 FM Talk in Action is spotlighting Our Ladies Inn, providing safe shelter, care, and support for pregnant women and children facing homelessness. Since 1982, they've helped local families build stable, independent futures. Learn more at OurLadiesInn.org.
Hey, it's Mark Cox. Beat the spring cleaning rush. Call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res. Let Zero Res help you refresh your home with cleaner carpets, fresh floors, and improved air quality. You can check out all of their raging customer reviews online with a 4.9 Google rating. This week, buy one room of carpet cleaned, get one room of carpet cleaned free, unlimited rooms. Call 314-474-2020 or go online at ZeroResSTL.com. ophthalmologyassociates.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. We call them the doctors because they've treated more than 250 doctors, more than any other practice in St. Louis. So if you're looking for the best doctors for your best vision, it's Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. Doctors Birdie and Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in the diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye. I had an eye disease when I was younger. It left me with a silicone buckle around my right eye, so I put my trust in Ophthalmology Associates to take care of my annual checkups. Maybe you're experiencing dry eye, allergy eyes. They can help. They can help with cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, and LASIK surgeries. And if you're looking for the best eye care, it's Ophthalmology Associates. Make an appointment today by calling 314-966-5000 or online at yourEyeDoc.com. They have a great office location just west of 270 on Manchester Road. Again, the phone number, 314-966-5000. The website, yourEyeDoc.com. Ophthalmology Associates.
Annie Frey is St. Louis conservative.
Say the word meteorologist.
Meteorologist.
Oh, you're a show off.
I know.
Brad, you go.
Meteorologist?
That's pretty good. But he said it like it was a question.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't
I
confident.
didn't like that.
I'm not totally engaged with what you guys are talking about right now.
We're not talking about it a lot. Just me opening the show going, say this word.
My brain is split in about 5 different pieces right now.
You said you had another text to our Annie Frey Show text line, 314-241-9797. Ryan,
Yeah,
what do we
but
got?
a little clarification first.
Meteorologist.
On Vallis Mines, Missouri, which I looked up because I thought maybe they just misspelled it. No, it actually is Valles Mines, Missouri. 2 people texting saying Valley.
Valles.
Valley.
You still say Valley?
They say Valley Mines. I guess instead of the S,
Like a
they're
long
just
E?
adding a Y to it. And I looked up where this
Can
city
you just
is.
do that?
Yeah, you can just do whatever you want.
It's French.
I
You
didn't
can
know-
do whatever you
I
want.
didn't know you
Especially
could
with
just-
French words.
I thought it was Valle.
Gravois. I don't think so.
Have you ever heard about a lot of times traffic people, not here, but a lot of times traffic people on the radio, they are stationed somewhere else. And of course, over the course of time, there have been way less people reporting traffic in locales. They could have a hub in Chicago and they have 10 different cities that they report in. St. Louis is the most difficult traffic to report because none of our street to street to street, road to road to road, none of it is consistent on how things are. Some of it is the French version. Some of it might not be so much.
Yeah, right.
Just very, very difficult. There's one street that I used to take all of the time when we worked over in the Union Station building, and I still don't know how to say it. Gratiot. Gradiote.
Gratoit. I mean, gratois.
Of all of the ways in my head that I have been on that road trying to figure out, I've never. You're unreal. Here we go again.
No, here we go.
Here we go again. I guess we're supposed to keep broadcasting because it'll come. Hi, people who can listen to us right now. Can you? Bond County. All right. Well, they're still in our listening area here. The National Weather Service in St. Louis has issued a tornado warning for. I'm not going to leave my Illinois people hanging out to dry here, listening in Bond County and South Central Illinois. East Central Madison County and Southwestern Illinois is still in that tornado warning. East Central Madison County. And Bond County in South Central Illinois till 2:45 p.m. right now. At 1:49 p.m. Central, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Marine. I have loved ones and family in Marine. Please be safe. Or near Highland. It says a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. So not to oversell what's happening here, but capable of it. You need to be in a position where you are in a safe, secure location. If you are in Bond County or if you're in East Central Madison County in southwestern Illinois until 2:45 p.m. So please keep your eyes in the skies. Again, at 1:49 p.m. Central, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Marine near Highland, moving east at 25 miles an hour.
Before I move past this issue of Valley Mines, I need to report that this city, I've located it, done research. It is south of Arnold, south of Imperial, south of Herculaneum and south of Festus. You get almost to Bonne Terre, and there's Valley Mines. Now, the original reason that we brought that up, because people reporting on our text line, 314-241-9797. And the farther south you go, and that is very far south, that may not even be barely listening area for us south in Valley Mines, it is sunny there.
I think you just wanted to say Vallis.
I did not. I did not. But then...
You were looking at real estate.
Well, I dabble while I'm looking at the map.
It's weird to talk about. Well, anyway.
This text says, I promise you guys, this is kind of like a real issue here. I promise you guys.
Wait. Everything we've talked about today is real.
They're all real. I mean, we're kind of joking around about the weather.
This is maybe the most consequential radio broadcasting we've ever done on this show for people in imminent danger, potentially.
Very true. I promise you guys, no matter how old your kids are, even as adults, you will never stop worrying about them and their safety. God bless you and yours.
Thanks. That feels great.
Well, yeah, it's not great to know.
That's my son who is calling me intermittently here because they have released now because where they are, the tornado warning is passed and into that eastern area, like we just mentioned, highlighting Marine, Highland, East Central Madison County, and I keep saying southwestern Illinois, but you guys already know that, Bond County. He's calling me, and people always say like, "Oh, Charlie, is he driving now?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And everyone does this. They go, "How's that?" And it's this understand. It's an if you know situation. If it depends on what side of that issue you're on. You don't have kids that are driving yet, and it probably still seems like almost an impossibility that your children will be driving cars. Still, is that right?
We were starting to. It's in the back of our head, but it's not real.
It's crept in.
Yeah.
How are your kids, like in your peer circle or family? Are your kids older than most of the people who you hang out with? Are they middle? Are they young?
They're middle.
Middle. So you hang out with people who do have kids who are older.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to have that circle of exposure where you kind of get like the secondhand waft of, wow, that looks pretty intense. But then you start finding, again, with the driving thing, people go, ooh, how's that? You realize that for as scary as it is so helpful. It is incredibly helpful. It's a huge asset to have another driver in the household. So you just kind of have to make the choice to lean into the helpful nature of it, because the other side is so consequentially terrifying that you can't really spend much time dwelling on it. But what she says, you never stop worrying about them. That is, I don't know how you could alleviate yourself from worrying about them. It just becomes part of the fabric of your being. But I guess the worries just change so much.
It's important for me to remember that as somebody who's not necessarily in that position, but my parents are, to remember that, they still worry about me, and I probably will be at that point at some point in my life as well. This person here says that, a lot of people listening to us in the far south of our listening area are reporting exactly where our broadcast signal starts to fade. This person says, we live 20 miles south of Valley Mines and pick you up crystal clear still.
That's great.
And then another person, Chris, put his name in the text. We don't know who you are unless you put your name in the text, by the way. Chris says, I get service as far south as Perryville, Missouri. 97.1 reception starts going away. That's actually a little bit south of Valley Mines. I just looked it up.
Do you ever, when you're driving anywhere on the fringe of where our coverage is, do you ever tune in to just see how far you can go?
I do.
I do that.
Going east from downtown, about where it starts to cut out for me is Mount Vernon. Mm-hmm. And you can still get it. It depends on the day and the weather in Mount Vernon, because there's people who listen in Mount Vernon on and off, and then you can get it there sometimes, but not always.
Todd Sivia has a law office in Mount Vernon, and
it's right on the edge.
When we were listing, when I was looking, I'm like, Mount Vernon, and I was told, nope, we can be picked up down there. That's pretty incredible. I'd love to hear from you if you're kind of on the fringe, if you can listen to 97.1 at 314-241-9797. Plus, of course, the weather is still a situation. There is a severe thunderstorm warning for Madison, St. Clair, St. Louis, and St. Louis County and St. Louis City until today at 3 p.m. That's a radar-indicated severe thunderstorm warning for Madison County, St. Clair County, St. Louis County, and St. Louis City until 3 p.m. today. And again, we have a lot of warnings that I've broadcast today that have expired, and then they get extended and altered a little bit, a little bit east, maybe a little bit north. So keep your eyes on the skies, and we will continue to cover that. Dave Murray is going to join us in the 2 o'clock hour. What time?
We just need to tell him when we want him, so.
Okay, how about at 2:05?
2:05, I'll tell him.
Okay, we'll get him back here at the top when we return and get the latest on what we've experienced so far. And he said when he was here with us at the top of the show at noon, he said, depending on the next minutes to hour or so would dictate how the rest of the day will go. We'll see what he has to report and forecast for the rest of the day. Be safe picking up your kids. We are thinking of you. We are you. And we are with you here on 97.1 FM Talk. We'll be back in a minute.
Warm weather means more storms, and you never know when the high winds or the hail might damage your roof. Mark Cox here from my friends at Correll Roofing Company. If you haven't had your roof inspected in the last 5 years, you need to call Curtis Correll and get that inspection to check for leaks and for damage. We've already had small hailstorms this spring, and we're not quite a year out from the big hailstorm last May. Your window may be closing to file an insurance claim connected to that. Now, here's what Curtis tells me. They are getting roofs approved for insurance claims from that 2024 storm with no problem. They're so good at what they do. The insurance companies respect and respond to them. Consider this part of your spring maintenance for your home and call Curtis today and get him out there. He did my new roof and it looks fantastic. You're going to love working with him. They specialize in all the luxury roof shingle lines. Call 314-222-9529 or go online today to CorrellRoofingCo.com.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholt of Kaufman Townsley. Victim of a car accident? Not choosing the best lawyer will cost you. But here's the good news. Since you don't pay unless we win, you can afford the very best. Kaufman Townsley. Call 314-777-7777.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
First court appearance for the accused shooter. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News, as the White House thanks security and condemns rhetoric after a weekend attack in D.C.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt addressing the would-be assassin at Saturday's Correspondents' Dinner.
This is the third major assassination attempt against President Trump in 2 years. No other president in history has faced such repeated, serious attempts on his life.
Condemning violent rhetoric, she says, has helped to legitimize this violence and calling the dinner a reminder of how important funding for DHS is, as Secret Service is a part of the agency.
Fox's Christian Goodwin, the shooting suspect, California teacher Cole Allen, just making his initial court appearance, facing 3 charges, including 2 gun counts and attempting to assassinate the president, facing up to life in prison if convicted of that. Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla just arriving as scheduled for a U.S. visit, which comes at a time of tension between the president and Britain's prime minister.
The political relationship between the U.S. and the U.K. right now is at a real low. For Keir Starmer, who didn't support President Trump in Iran, who didn't allow U.S. bases to be used to attack Iran during this conflict, it has led to a total demise. And President Trump has called Keir Starmer a coward. And so what the king is coming over here to do is hoping that they can build these bridges again.
Fox's Benjamin Hall. The king's visit includes tea at the White House today, an address to Congress, and a a state dinner. President Trump meeting earlier with his national security team after deciding not to send U.S. envoys to meet with Iranian officials over the weekend.
The U.S. blockade on Iranian ports is entering its third week here in the Persian Gulf. And now Iran is reportedly willing to relinquish its control on the Strait of Hormuz, but it doesn't want to meet U.S. demands on its nuclear program. Now, President Trump says the U.S. is not willing to budge on preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
Fox's Matt Finn in Dubai. Iran calls U.S. demands excessive. America is listening to Fox News.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids. Rolaids' dual-active formula has calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. Yeah, you heard right. 2 actives for that powerful relief. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaid spells powerful relief. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Playing a waiting game for redeveloping thunderstorms as a cold front starts to move our way. Mid to late afternoon into the evening will be the best opportunity. 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon until about 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. Though severe weather's not for everybody, there will be a number of strong to severe thunderstorms across the area, so we need to stay alert. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get not just your AC, but your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the Preferred Partner Plan. And be ready for the first heat wave. AirComfortService.com.
Annie Frey, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ray.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, as you are hearing the emergency broadcast system continue to jump into the show, I won't say interrupt. I feel like we're interrupting it today. The National Weather Service in St. Louis has issued a tornado warning for Bond County and East Central Madison County in southwestern Illinois. That goes till 2:45, so we're in the midst of that. But we also have holding right now, and we need to get right to the man. The 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray is on with us. Dave, things have gotten a little bit hostile since we last talked here in St. Louis.
Yeah, you know, we're also now under a tornado warning for, let's basically say, St. Louis City, more than any place else in Missouri. And
I can visually confirm that
Yes.
from outside the studio right now.
It should look pretty mean, especially up to your north and northwest, and that continues into Madison and northern sections of St. Clair County. That's for about the next hour or so. And kind of like the last one we were talking about, there's no clear-cut indication of a funnel or a tornado, but we are certainly talking about some heavy rain, lightning, and straight-line winds up to 60 miles per hour. That is rocketing off to the east, so it will be out of St. Louis City, especially northern St. Louis City here, probably in the next 15 minutes or so, and then it will make its way across portions of Illinois on the east side.
Can I ask you to give us an elementary explanation of all these watches and warnings, and when we hear radar indicated or spotted or anything, can you talk us through this so that we can understand these alerts a little bit better?
Yeah, radar indicated is basically somebody at the National Weather Service looking at the radar and saying, hey, I think these conditions are showing some rotation. The rotation we've been seeing has mainly been at fairly high levels, not at the ground levels out of these particular storms that are going on right now. And then you have a more important part of a tornado warning is actually cited, and that's from either a trained spotter or highway patrol or police officer, fire department, something like that, that actually sees the funnel or a tornado on the ground. So that distinguishes between those two. And right now, it is really just this is one last cluster of thunderstorms coming through St. Louis City and portions of northern St. Louis County, and that's moving east into Illinois. You go in behind that, there's not much going on. I've got some reports in Franklin County and portions of St. Charles and western St. Louis County that the sun is trying to come out, and that's one thing that we'll be watching as we go through the afternoon. But again, this is still part one. This has been hanging on for way too long, and so we're waiting to see if part two will fire up and where it will fire up.
We're speaking with Dave Murray, the 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist. That's what we've been discussing throughout the course of the day, because all of the lead up, all of the hype, if you will, not the Dave Murray hype, that's the real stuff, and that's why we have you on here with us. But all the hype has been that this was going to be a big event throughout the course of the day. We have tornado watches and storm watches that extend through at least 9 p.m. tonight, and I don't even know what time I got those yesterday. It seemed like they were already in place. So we know that this is going to be a long day, and that once it's done, it might not be done for good. Set us up for what we're looking at through the afternoon and evening.
We're still kind of waiting to see. There's a Pacific cold front moving, and let's just call it a cold front. That's going to take its time. It won't get through here for the next 5 or 6 hours or so. But what I'm waiting for is, where is a boundary line going to set up? And that has not become really clear cut. I still think it's probably going to be just south of St. Louis, and I'm really concerned about southeast Missouri, southern Illinois later on today, especially south of Festus and Farmington and Carbondale and Mount Vernon. But that is all dependent on where a boundary sets up. That area that I just talked about is where the sun has been out all day long. They haven't had any thunderstorms at all. Whereas St. Louis County, St. Charles County, over on the east side, we've obviously seen thunderstorms, and we're seeing some thunderstorms right now. Is that going to tend to calm the atmosphere down over us and let the severe reformation or redevelopment take place to the south? Don't know yet. Just perfectly honest with you. We don't know yet. We've got to watch it play out a little bit.
I'll tell you right now from downtown, for folks who don't know where we are broadcasting from right now, we're right between Soldiers Memorial and the St. Louis Public Library, just a few blocks away from where the Blues play, Stiefel Theater, right next to Market Street. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at the sky right now, and it got a little bit brighter, but then the sky kind of opened up and the rain started pouring down. Big drops. I don't see any hail, but it does look like there's some actual weather activity happening here right now.
Yeah, and it is basically from the building, you're looking north and starting to look a little bit to the northeast now is where the stronger activity is. If you live in Venice, Madison, Granite City, up through South Roxana, you're in some pretty good stuff right now. And if it's not there yet, it will be very, very shortly. The tornado warning that does cover parts of St. Louis County and St. Louis City, I think that is going to get dropped here very, very quickly as that cluster of storms moves to the east side.
David, Ryan, what has been the worst area, or what, if you could pinpoint a city or group of cities, who's gotten it the worst so far, and what have they gotten?
I would say the worst has probably been portions of North St. Louis County and over on the east side, and portions of Madison and St. Clair County. I'm not getting any real damage reports. We've had hail up to about 1 inch in diameter. We've had some small tree limbs come down, not have had any confirmed reports of a tornado on the ground at this point. Been a little bit of flash flooding along small streams and creeks and on some of the highways and roadways that have gotten some people in some high water for a very brief period of time. But it's, as you look at it right now, it is kind of it's going to sound weird, but it's kind of typical run-of-the-mill April thunderstorm so far for the St. Louis area.
Yeah, one where everybody has to stop and pay attention, and you just hope that it doesn't jump into non-typical weather for right now. Dave Murray speaking with us, the 97.1 FM Talk chief meteorologist. So I'm in this predicament right now where we're getting kids. Kids are being released early. I've got one kid who's a driver, and he's carefully collecting one of my kids to get them home. I have text messages from other schools that I'm connected with. They were under a tornado warning in the Metro East. They were under a tornado warning. It was lifted. They were releasing people early. Another tornado warning just drops right now. How hard is it to predict how this weather is going to turn?
Well, it's not really hard to predict how it's going to turn because we can track these things. What's hard is for school officials and principals and superintendents to say, hey, we have a window here. Let's let them out. Yeah. And that's tough. That's tough because you may be just letting them out into another situation.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm kind of the belief that they may be safer in schools, not in the auditoriums or the cafeterias, but they may be safer in school and they know what to do instead of having to try to get parents to come from either their house or their job to try to come pick them up. It's just not a good situation. I think this is probably a great idea of, okay, how do we handle this in the future? How do we really say, do we just keep kids here or do we try to get them out? It's not like a snowstorm moving in. They're thunderstorms and they're going to be it's very fluid. It's very dynamic.
Talk to us about this afternoon and this evening. Right now I'm looking at some thunderstorms kind of in the northwest of St. Louis listening region, maybe Warrenton, Troy, Montgomery City.
Yeah, they're around Herman and Warrenton right now. That's a little batch that is also got a thunderstorm warning on it, but that storm's moving to the northeast towards Troy, and so that may not get St. Louis at all. The area that I'm watching is going to be for possible redevelopment from the St. Louis area south, east, and southeast, and exactly where. We're just playing a waiting game. We have to see if this boundary is going to fire up. I think it's a guarantee that southeast Missouri and southern Illinois is really going to rock later on today because that's where the sun's been out all day long. They haven't had any rain. There's some indication that a couple of small cells are starting to develop in that area right now. Basically think Carbondale South is going to be a real prime region for severe weather. Will we see it? It's very iffy right now, only because the atmosphere has been destabilized, so to speak, from the rains that we've had. But there's going to be a boundary set up somewhere, and it's a question, will it fire or will it not? Again, the sun is starting to come out to the west, and that's an indication that the atmosphere is going to try to turn. But where? We don't know yet.
And do you have an anticipation of a time frame where St. Louis should we just be on alert throughout the course of the afternoon, evening, just all together, or?
Yeah, I think as far as part 2 is concerned, anytime between 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon up until about 8-9 o'clock this evening, in that window, that's going to be the prime time for part number 2. Not going to be storming that whole time. These things that develop this afternoon in the second part of this system are going to be really fast movers. They are not going to mess around. They're going to form. They're going to do their thing and be gone. And probably like 20 minutes in any particular neighborhood. They'll become very fast-moving storms getting pushed by this cold front coming in.
Dave, throughout our show, we've had our text line open so people could just kind of report what they were experiencing in their area. For the most part, we've gotten probably 75% of our text from south of downtown saying, yeah, it's actually pretty nice here. We're down south of 64 saying, and the farther south you go, the nicer it's been. So it sounds like you're saying that, A, that's where the extreme weather could develop because it's been sunny down there.
Exactly.
And then B, the other thing we've been getting from the text line is that there's not really been a lot of even hail. Is there a hail that's been so far? Is that coming tonight?
Yeah, the bulk of the most severe weather is going to be in part 2. Okay. And again, because we don't know exactly where that's going to form. That's not to say we haven't had severe weather, but we haven't had, a major outbreak or anything like that. These are typical late April thunderstorms that we're seeing right now. They get tornado warnings from time to time. It might see a small spin-up tornado, might get some 1-inch diameter hail, a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rain, that kind of thing that comes out of it. So I just got a report of a 1.5-inch hail over on the east side. But that's booking. That's moving at about 40 miles per hour.
Can you tell us
very, very quickly
where there's a certain location that Ryan is really hoping does get hail?
That's why I'm asking.
I'm not going to tell you where his location is.
I need a new roof.
But I'm curious if you could tell us.
You don't want it that way.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
No, it was right around the intersection of 270 and 3 in Illinois. And that particular hailmaker has moved off to the east
not far
very,
north
very
enough,
quickly.
but thank you.
Oh, Ryan, stop it. All right. Well, Dave, we appreciate you so much for bringing us some common sense reaction to and prediction here on what we're going to deal with here for the rest of the afternoon and evening. Thanks for being here. And I know you'll probably be connected to 97.1 throughout the day. So we'll look forward to having you back.
You got it. Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye. We are going to take a very quick break here, and when we come back, the Justice Department is doing a press conference in reaction to the shooting at the White House Correspondents Dinner from this weekend, and so we will bring you to that press conference here in just a minute. I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but here's a Babylon Bee. It's not Friday. This is the Bee. The Babylon Bee posts a story, Trump enters ceasefire talks with Democrats. We'll get the DOJ report press conference when we come back. So I'm talking a little bit about Todd Sivia and Sivia Law. We're touching base with all areas, nooks and crannies of the 97.1 listening audience right now. And I think that it's nice how Sivia Law is basically wherever you need him to be in that listening audience in Missouri and in Illinois alike. If you have an estate planning need, if you haven't had your estate plan done, if you had your estate plan done and it hasn't been looked at in the last 3 years or more, let me introduce you to Todd Sivia, and let me tell you about the phone number you can call. So when you book your first appointment with them by mentioning my name, they are going to waive the $300 strategy session fee to get you started on the process to an impeccable estate plan. I'm talking about wills, trusts, powers of attorney for your health needs, for your financial concerns. Get all your things in place. Have all of those complicated questions about heirs and families and all of that stuff just really well thought out, so you feel very confident that your estate plan is one that you are going to have a peace of mind when you think about it. Call this number and mention my name and save the fee for that initial strategy session. 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL online at civialaw.com.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Regrets collect like
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. It's been a weather day here and a weather day for you there, and we are covering all of the updates as they hit. So keep it right here. If there is an emergency, we will alert you to it. I know a lot of you guys are looking at the radars on your phone apps, and certainly here we've got some great coverage with Dave Murray. We just wrapped up with him. So if you missed that, you can talk. He talked a little bit about what we're going to expect for the rest of the afternoon and evening. You can just rewind on the Odyssey app. Can you still rewind on the Odyssey app? AUDACY.
Yeah.
Find 97.1 FM Talk and follow the Annie Frey Show there. We'd love to have you. I want to dip in now to live coverage of the Department of Justice is giving a press conference regarding the shooter from the White House Correspondents Dinner. And we are going to listen in to what Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, has to say about this as they take the podium. Judge Janine Pirro, Kash Patel, and another individual.
Good afternoon.
Listen in.
Everybody, thanks for being here. On Saturday night, as you all know, an act of violence occurred at a gathering that symbolizes something fundamental to our system of government. The ability of a free press and public officials to come together in celebration and not fear. The act was stopped because of the courage and, that horrible act was stopped because of the courage and professionalism of law enforcement. The officers who responded without hesitation and did their jobs as they were trained to do. Secret Service agents promptly tackled and detained the suspect, Cole Thomas Allen. The president and all the protectees and participants at the dinner were safe. One brave officer was injured and is receiving care and has been released from the hospital. I want to make this clear. This man was a floor above the ballroom with hundreds of federal agents between him and the President of the United States. The Department of Justice approaches incidents like this with urgency and clarity of purpose. Violence has no place in civic life. It cannot and will not be used to disrupt democratic institutions or intimidate those who serve them, and it certainly cannot continue to be used against the President of the United States. We are investigating this matter fully. We will apply the law fairly, and we will ensure that accountability is swift and certain. But we also should recognize what did not happen. Law enforcement did not fail. They did exactly what they are trained to do. This was not an accident. It was the result, as we know now, of preparation. But the men and women who protected us that night were trained, professional, and had an enduring commitment to the rule of law. Today, the Department of Justice filed 3 federal charges in United States District Court against Cole Thomas Allen. The first count is attempted assassination of the President of the United States. This count is punishable by up to life in prison. The second count is interstate transportation of a firearm to commit a felony. This is punishable by up to 10 years in prison. And the third count is discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence, which is punishable by a mandatory minimum term of imprisonment of 10 years, a maximum of life, and the 10 years is consecutive to any other sentence imposed. Just to go through very quickly the timeline, which many of you in this room already know. The defendant, Allen, made a hotel reservation at the Washington Hilton for April 24th through April 26th. On April 21st of this year, he traveled by train from Los Angeles to Chicago and then from Chicago to Washington, D.C. On April 24th, he arrived in Washington, D.C. at approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon and checked into the Washington Hilton. Approximately at 8:40 on the night of April 25th, Allen approached a security checkpoint on the terrace level of the hotel, which is again a floor above where the dinner was taking place. He ran through the magnetometer holding a long gun. As he did so, U.S. Secret Service personnel assigned to the checkpoint heard a loud gunshot. One Secret Service officer was shot in the chest, but was wearing a ballistic vest that worked. This heroic officer who was hit fired 5 times at Allen, who was not shot but fell to the ground and was promptly arrested. I want to thank everybody who worked tirelessly on Saturday, Sunday, and continuing today. This includes members of the FBI, and Director Patel is going to address that in a minute. It includes members of the Metropolitan Police Department who were immediately on the scene, the chief, the mayor, to make sure that law enforcement was available to do their jobs and had all the tools they needed to do so. And lastly, the United States Attorney's Office here in D.C., our U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro and her team. A prosecutor stayed up all night long, didn't sleep all day yesterday, making sure that we got what we needed from all over the country. It included search warrants in California, search warrants here in D.C., multiple interviews that have been conducted already of witnesses and of family members of the charged individual, and continue to work hard today. This investigation is ongoing. It's not complete. A lot of the information that the media is hearing through leaks or sources, some of it is true, some of it is not true, and at the right time you will hear information from us as appropriate. I'd like to ask our U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro to say a few words, and then followed by Director Patel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Cole Allen's journey of accountability in the criminal justice system starts today. Todd Blanche just indicated to you the charges. Those charges are only 3 charges that are in the complaint that has been presented in federal district court about an hour ago. There will be additional charges as this investigation continues to unfold. But make no mistake, this was an attempted assassination of the President of the United States, with the defendant making clear what his intent was. And that intent was to bring down as many of the high-ranking cabinet officials as he could. This is the kind of situation that we cannot tolerate. And as the Attorney General has just indicated, it could have been so much worse, but for the reality that we had the Secret Service as well as the Metropolitan Police Department and the FBI. Now, the facts make it very clear what this intent was. You may recall that it was on March 2nd that the president indicated that he would be attending this public event at the Hilton. And on April 6th, that's when Cole Allen first made a hotel reservation at the Washington Hilton for 3 nights, the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th. It was on April 21st that he traveled all the way from the West Coast, from his home near L.A. He gets to Chicago on April 23rd, and has been indicated he arrives in D.C. on the 24th, and he checks into the hotel at about 3 p.m. He stays overnight. He is very much aware that the president and the first lady entered the ballroom at 8 p.m. And it was at 8:40 that he made a decision to rush the ballroom. And thank goodness, law enforcement, the Secret Service, was able to prevent him from getting into that ballroom. He was not injured other than some kind of scrape on his knee. Now, as indicated, these are the weapons that the defendant had on his person. You can see that's a 12-gauge pump-action Mossberg shotgun. It's a .38 semi-automatic. He had at least 3 knives and all kinds of paraphernalia. So any suggestion that he wasn't there to do harm is absurd. We will prove when he purchased these guns. They were purchased in California. Why is that relevant? It is relevant because he crossed interstate lines with those firearms, and those are the firearms that he used on the night of the 25th, or attempted to use at the very least. Now, the manifesto also makes clear about his expected rules of engagement. You know, you can look at it and read it, and it may seem kind of la-la-la, but at the end, make no mistake, he says, I am targeting the administration officials. They are my targets, and I'm prioritizing from the top down, the highest ranking from the lowest. And I will not hesitate to get involved in any kind of encounter with anyone who blocks me from the president. Now, finally, let me say one thing. Within days of the president nominating me to be the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, I was at the scene of a double homicide where one Elias Rodriguez crossed state lines from Chicago with a firearm to commit a felony in the district. He's now indicted for the murder of two individuals, Laron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, here in Washington. Not long after that, another individual, Ramanella Lockenwall, crossed state lines, again with a firearm, with intent to commit a felony here in Washington. He traveled from the state of Washington. He is now indicted with the murder of Sarah Beckstrom, a National Guardsman, and the attempted murder of National Guard Andrew Wolf. Today, we have Cole Allen, another individual, charged with crossing state lines coming from California with a firearm with the intent to commit a felony here in the district. Let this be a message to anyone who thinks that Washington, D.C. is the place to act out political violence. And if you are willing to do so with a firearm and cross state lines, we will find you. We will track your steps from the inception of your plan, and we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Washington, D.C. is not the place to travel to commit acts of violence. The Constitution and the laws of the United States permit us to register our views through our voices and our votes. What they don't permit is making your views known through violence, especially violence directed at the President of the United States. This is anti-democratic at its core.
Thank you, Judge. Excuse me. Thank you, General. This one hits a little differently. We were all there. Many of you were there. Many of you watching were there as well. The President was there. The Vice President was there. The cabinet was there. And what you saw described by the General and the U.S. Attorney is absolutely true. The President spoke on late Saturday evening with the message of unity and a backing of law enforcement, and we have followed through on that message of unity and the effectuation of law enforcement across this country. This FBI is grateful to the United States Secret Service, the Department of Homeland Security, and our interagency partners, including the Metropolitan Police Department, for swiftly jumping into action. All of us on there put us in a unique position, but all of us also acted uniquely. The Washington field office jumped into action immediately, sending a mobile command center to the scene, along with our evidence response technicians, who showed up in speedy fashion to make sure we could collect the evidence that the prosecutors and the department needed to make this announcement today. Also on scene, you were told about the brave heroics of the United States Secret Service and other members of law enforcement. And that should be celebrated by every single American. They did exactly what they were trained to do. They stopped a massive attack from becoming even worse. They stood in the way, they safeguarded America, and they should be nothing but applauded for their bravery and their dedication to their mission and their selfless sacrifice to this country. The FBI, along with standing up mobile command units, evidence tech response team, and Washington SWAT on scene, also established our NC3, our National Crisis Coordination Center, almost immediately. And almost immediately in parallel, we stood up our command center at the Washington field office under ADIC Darren Cox's leadership. Throughout the evening, we immediately began working with our Department of Justice partners to find the evidence necessary to effectuate the legal process necessary and enter into the suspect's room at the Washington Hilton successfully and lawfully and obtain the relevant evidence for exploitation. That was on scene. Back at the headquarters division and the Washington field office, we were coordinating a national scale investigation that literally spanned from coast to coast. As you heard, FBI agents, along with the interagency, were immediately dispatched to the suspect's home in California, where we conducted interviews that provided critical information about this horrific attack. We also dispatched investigators and agents to New London, Connecticut, where we conducted further interviews that provided necessary information that you will find in this criminal complaint, as the United States Attorney has just laid out. While officers were working diligently through the night to conduct those interviews, we were also conducting interviews of witnesses on scene. Those interviews are ongoing. As you know, there was almost 2,000 people there. We are sifting through and prioritizing who to talk to, and we will get to each and every one of you with any bit of relevant information. Again, we ask everybody who has any relevant information, like I did on Saturday night with the president, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Any piece of information is information we want to have and must receive. On top of the on-scene response by this FBI, the headquarters response, and the Washington field office response, the FBI flipped on its enterprise-wide response to this critical incident. What does that mean? We dispatched fixed-wing assets across the country so that we could immediately transport evidence that was acquired in California and Connecticut and sent it to our laboratories in Quantico for analysis. We collected the shell casings on scene, including the firearms and the weapons that the judge talked about. Those were also sent to our Quantico laboratories for immediate analysis. America should be proud that this FBI acted with the urgency that was needed for the moment that we had to answer. The president rightly said that we will act in a unified fashion, and it's because of President Trump's leadership and backing of the blue, every single person in law enforcement that I stood with into late evening hours on Saturday, early evening hours on Sunday, and all day yesterday and today are thrilled to wear the badge and defend this country. Each and every one of them deserves our thanks, and I encourage everyone listening to go out there and shake the hand of a federal agent or police officer and say thank you for doing their job. Thank you for training endlessly to make sure they meet the mission requirements. And for me, as the director of the FBI, I want to thank our headquarters components for working diligently with our prosecutors and make sure that the American public knows it's not just federal agents that do this work. It's our intelligence analysts, our support staff, our laboratories, our fixed-wing assets, our critical incident response groups, our hostage rescue teams. Agents sprung into action, got out of bed, and haven't slept since. These prosecutors haven't slept since, and I promise you they're not going to be sleeping. They are going to give you every piece of evidence. As the journal said, we will make public, when appropriate, to protect the integrity of this investigation, to make sure that due process is served, and we will meet the highest standards of the Constitution as we always do. And that is when we will continue to disclose information. I know the public has a yearning for information, but just remind yourself of how much information you have already received, how transparent this administration has been. In less than 48 hours, you know almost every single thing we know. And what we have not told you yet, we will tell you in short order. So once again, from me, as director of the FBI, I want to thank the interagency. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and their director, Mark Wayne Mullen, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General of the United States, Attorney Pirro, and Ada Cox for springing into action on a night that should have been celebrating free speech, but we will be doing it again shortly, as the president said, and we look forward to seeing you all there.
Pierre.
2 questions, please. Beyond the evidence and what the judge described as the manifesto, what other evidence can you point to that tells us that the president was the primary target of the suspect?
So we're a day and a half into the investigation. As we talked about earlier, we were able to get multiple devices from various locations, the hotel room and also his where he lived in California. We have started that process. There's nothing more that would be appropriate to share at this time until we have thoroughly gone through it, which we're doing, and we'll share that information as appropriate in the future. Second question, go ahead.
Beyond the assassination attempts against President Trump, you had someone try to burn down the mansion where the governor lives in Pennsylvania. You had those state lawmakers attacked in Minnesota. You've had 2 Israeli embassy staff members murdered in the city here. You had the Charlie Kirk assassination. You had the National Guardsman killed in the city. Can you, each of you, describe the current threat environment and what DOJ's stance is about it?
Well, you just described the current threat environment pretty accurately, which is that the political violence and rhetoric has got to stop. And that's something President Trump said right after the incident on Saturday night. It's something that Carolyn Leavitt talked about a couple hours ago. It is something that is, when you have a president who and many people in this room, if we're going to be honest about it, has done it as well. They're just as guilty as a lot of people on X. When you have reporters, when you have media just being overly critical and calling the president horrible names for no reason and without evidence, without proof, it shouldn't surprise us that this type of rhetoric takes place. If you look at what at what it appears that this defendant had in his past. We're talking about somebody who is college educated, who has a job, who is otherwise living his life, and we'll find out more about him, as I expect, in the coming days and weeks. But he chose to do what he did, and so our threat environment is we are ready. I mean, I'm not going to go through what Director Patel just talked about with the way we responded, but this was something that we will always be prepared for, and it's sad that it has to happen, but it's not a new thing, unfortunately.
So you've been listening to the latest at the Department of Justice, their press conference there. Is there recapping what took place over the weekend, including a charge, additional charges, including an attempted assassination of the President of the United States, which would carry at maximum a lifelong sentence, lifetime sentence, whatever. So that's what we've been listening there. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, District Attorney Janine Pirro, and FBI Director Kash Patel heading this up. We're going to take a very quick break here. And what you just heard from the Acting Attorney General Blanche there really parlays into our YouTube live chat poll. Do we have a both sides rhetoric crisis? We haven't talked about much other than weather and press conferences today, but we're going to wrap up the show when we come back with your thoughts on, is it both sides? You can leave us your thoughts along with a vote on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll, but we love your text messages on the Annie Frey Show text line, 314-241-9797, 314-241-9797. Do we have a both sides problem? We'll be right back. The Retirement Advisory Group. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night at the Chesterfield, the DoubleTree in Chesterfield. We're going to be there at 6:30 p.m. is when the event starts, so you're going to want to be there in your place by 6:30. I'm going to get there at 6, and I'd love the opportunity to meet you. Mark Cox, Mark Reardon will be there as well. And you reserve your spot at 314-993-9494. But what for, Annie? It's the Protecting Your Retirement educational event that is free, comes with snacks, and it's not going to take up a whole bunch of your evening. It usually lasts about 45 minutes. You'll probably be out of there by 7:30, unless you want to stick around and ask a question or two or grab an extra cookie. If you reserve your spot, 314-993-9494, you're going to be able to go to this event for free, bring your significant other, your friends, whoever might benefit from that area in your life where you're around that 59 and a half years of age or older. Maybe you've retired, maybe you want to retire, maybe you just want to learn what the Retirement Advisory Group is about. Learn when you can afford to retire, how much income you'll have in retirement, and how they position you for maximum success and peace of mind once that retirement sets in. Reserve your spot for tomorrow at the DoubleTree in Chesterfield. The event begins at 6:30. I get there at 6, so come early. 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
For years, Gone South has been a podcast about crime in the American South. But for our new season, we're widening the lens. Through deeply reported, narrative-driven stories, we're digging into the myths, scandals, and power structures that still shape the South, and, in a lot of ways, the country itself. Follow and listen to Gone South Season 5, an Odyssey podcast, available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your shows.
Summer is on the way, or should I say the heat in St. Louis, it's on its way. Be here before we even know it. If you haven't had your air conditioners checked and set up and ready to go for this cooling season, or if you were told you might need a new one, or you just think this is the time of the year, this year is the time to just go ahead and replace it. Prices are down, 0% financing is available. It's still the best time to call me. Don't put it off. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois. It is 314-293-2600. Again, that's 314-293-2600 in Missouri and Illinois, or on the internet, bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. I am quite aware of the dangers being on the road. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. These families' lives will be changed in an instant. We fight for these families as if they were our own. We've become America's largest injury law firm by winning cases just like these. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Injured? Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
The BizDash 5K, presented by Worldwide Technology, is back. Produced by the St. Louis Sports Commission, this high-energy corporate race is St. Louis's healthiest happy hour, combining fitness, fun, and unbeatable team bonding for companies of every size. Runners and walkers of all levels are welcome. It all comes together at Energizer Park Thursday, May 7th in downtown St. Louis. An office party like no other. Create your company team today at stlbizdash.com.
Warm weather means more storms, and you never know when the high winds or the hail might damage your roof. Mark Cox here from my friends at Correll Roofing Company. If you haven't had your roof inspected in the last 5 years, you need to call Curtis Correll and get that inspection to check for leaks and for damage. We've already had small hailstorms this spring, and we're not quite a year out from the big hailstorm last May. Your window may be closing to file an insurance claim connected to that. Now, here's what Curtis tells me. They are getting roofs approved for insurance claims from that 2024 storm with no problem. They're so good at what they do. The insurance companies respect and respond to them. Consider this part of your spring maintenance for your home and call Curtis today and get him out there. He did my new roof, and it looks fantastic. You're going to love working with him. They specialize in all the luxury roof shingle lines. Call 314-222-9529 or go online today to CorrellRoofingCo.com.
That's a timely ad today. It's a YouTube live chat poll. We're asking you, do we have a both sides rhetoric crisis? We haven't talked about this poll much. The options are yes. The other option is just the far left or just the far right. And then there's no rhetoric crisis. Those are your four options, and we will give you the results of this poll here shortly as we close out the show and hand it over to Mark Reardon. It is 2:48. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Annie Frey is St. Louis conservative.
Oh, Ethan thinks he's so cute. Ethan! Ethan! Is this Burt Bacharach? No. All right. People are freaking out, and here's Ethan.
Did he put this in recently? Because if he did it early...
This is Ethan in the Weather Center.
You know what? He did go out on the roof.
Did he?
He not all the way up. He went out on the low roof over here.
What a ridiculous decision on his part. I want to play this clip for you before we're going to have Mark Reardon jump in here in just a minute. I had a lot planned for this show, and we didn't get to do much of it. But listen to this John Carl video. John Carl reporting from, originally he was at the White House Correspondents Dinner, but he said this the next day.
I got a call this morning on my landline at about a little after 7 a.m., Not many people call me on that number these days, but it was the president. Hey, good morning. Just got off this week on ABC, headed up to the Hilton Hotel where the dinner was last night. That was as frightening a scene as I've ever seen at a Washington dinner, to say the least. Just seeing those, I still have the images in my head of when it happened and the Secret Service agents storming that stage, knocking things over on their way up there. Long guns drawn and the president being whisked out of the room, the president, the first lady, the vice president. And I got a call this morning on my landline at about a little after 7 a.m. Not many people call me on that number these days, but it was the president. It was President Trump calling. He said to see if I was okay with all that happened last night, if I was okay. And then we spoke for few minutes. He reiterated a lot of what he said last night about feeling unity in the room and about his absolute insistence that this dinner, the White House Correspondents Dinner, be rescheduled and rescheduled soon. He knows that I'm a former president of the White House Correspondents Association. I've been involved in planning these dinners, and he said we've got to get that dinner planned again.
So John Carl reporting from his driver in the car on his way probably back to the White House to do his press coverage. But here's why I wanted to play that, because what did John Carl, who is, let's see here, he's at John Carl, he's the ABC News chief Washington correspondent. ABC News, not like where you go to for super favorable coverage of President Trump, wouldn't you say? When I read the comments underneath this post on his X, this is where the problem exists, folks. Look at the comments underneath this video, because the second one that I see here, the first one is another reporter saying that I think that this person was at Butler and that he too or she too got a phone call from President Trump. Right underneath that, Joe from Jersey, whatever, 1 million followers, lots of influence here on X. All she comments here is, stop normalizing him. For F's sake, stop. And that right there, folks, is what you need to understand about the moment that we live in right now. The more you hear, and I've got tons of sound on this, I'm sure Mark Reardon is ready to roll with everything that has been covered and responded to and commented on since this past weekend shooting. The intention to dehumanize and abnormalize, unnormalize, disnormalize, denormalize President Trump, Donald Trump, the man, to take away his humanity. That's how you create a scenario where they are now 0 for 3 in trying to take his life. Is there a situation right now, and this is the YouTube poll, we want you to come to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and vote. We haven't talked about this at all because we've been in weather coverage and press conferences. The poll we're asking you today, do we have a both sides rhetoric crisis? Yes. Just the far left, just the far right, or there's no rhetoric crisis. Mark Reardon's in studio. I want to talk to you about the coverage that you're going to bring to us on the show, because weather is not done yet, Mark.
Yeah, and I'm a little confused by this because it kicked in a little earlier, I think, than some of us were anticipating. And some of this has hovered a little bit around downtown. We just had a report near Innsbruck. So we're going to cover it here. We got some resources with, Dave Burry's going to join us at some point. We'll dip into Camo X if we have to, and Fox 2. So we're going to cover it as much as possible. My instinct, and I'm always wrong about this, is that whenever they say this is going to be bad, it never is, and the vice versa happens as well. But we do have some, I always kind of call this toxic, atmospheres out there.
It's challenging, too, for people like us, Mark, because we are not trained in doing weather coverage, and the consequence of not bringing attention to it is very serious.
Yeah.
So we have to address it, and we have a lot of these relationships, like the ones you just mentioned, that we can tap into to make sure that we get you covered.
I've always covered, because I have a news background, severe weather going back to when I first started. But to your point, we know what's happened the last couple of years. Even if you go back to Springfield, look, I've told people, if you watch that documentary on the Springfield tornado, you will never ignore sirens again. Or if you were part of what happened here in St. Louis, you react to the sirens, get to a safe place, because these things happen quickly. So yeah, we'll stay all over it. We got Brian Kilmeade coming up. He was there at the White House Correspondents Dinner for the fake assassination tip. These are all fake. They're all hoaxes, right, Annie?
What are you talking about on my show, Mark Reardon?
You
are crazy.
The people out there that are, it was the first gut instinct I had on Saturday night. They're going to be out there saying it was all faked.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing.
I really think it's a tell, because for them to say that it's fake means that they can't justify it. They know that they can't come out and say what they really think and feel. Except for Jimmy Kimmel, which I'm really sad I didn't get to lay into him.
I will. I promise you that.
Let me hand you that put that ball in the tee for you with Jimmy Kimmel.
He should be fired. He should be fired today.
He said, what was the phrase? I have the clip here, but I don't have time to get it all queued up.
Melania is basically can't wait till she's a widow, looking like she's ready to be a widow.
Like
That's
an almost to be widow, or
right,
something
right.
to that effect. And that was right before this happened.
Thursday.
From a faux press conference setup that he has. I mean, this guy's got it, and he's got it really bad. Let me ask you the poll question. We're going to get to the results here in 2 minutes before we hand the show over to you. It's 56-50, right? Do we have, Mark?
20.
56-20. Do we have a both sides rhetoric crisis?
This is the easiest poll you've ever had. No, we do not. It's one side, and it's one side only, and they are shameful, and they're not backing down in many corners today. So, no, I don't think we do.
Babylon Bee put out a story. It says President Trump negotiates ceasefire with Democrats.
Oh, man.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Ryan, both sides?
I would say yes, but they're very different. The problems on the right are that we have influencers who are very self-obsessed, whereas on the left, you have a very large portion. Do you think
there are any people on the right calling for death of their opponents?
And that's what I'm saying, is that the problems exist, but they're very, very different. On the left, you do have violent rhetoric.
Brad?
No, this is one-sided. You don't see anybody on the right saying anything that would lead somebody to want to shoot somebody on the left.
Well, we mentioned this poll twice today. We still got 220 votes. Right there with you, Mark Reardon, 60% of those 220 people said just the far left. 36% say it is a both sides. 3% putting it on the far right, and 1% say there's no rhetoric crisis. There is going to be a weather situation and lots to cover from the news this weekend. And Mark Reardon, you're going to be all over it.
We'll take you through it. Thank you, Annie.
No problem. Keep it right here. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Money, sponsored by LendSeek.
The full sticker price for a college education is going up, but there is some good news for the parents of prospective students.
The net price, which is what does the average student pay after grants and after scholarships pay, has actually been going down.
If the school wants your child on campus, financial planner Ed Jertson says you can negotiate a lower tuition figure.
You have high grades because you're desirable for that one institution.
I'm Rob Hart.
If you own a business, you've heard it all. From fast funding to easy approvals, everyone says the same thing. LendSeek is different. We show you what you actually qualify for. LendSeek's AI-enabled platform matches you with funding options with no guesswork. Up to $5 million in as fast as 24 hours. If you've been in business over a year, doing at least $50,000 per month, apply for free with zero out-of-pocket costs and access to over 100 lenders. Start ready, stay ready. LendSeek.com. LendSeek.com.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
If you need a garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are open now for